Gathered friends, listen again to our tale of the Toa Civil War. I'm your host, Max Dudek, and with me are my other hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
I am Liam, also known as Vahkiti, as usual.
Do it.
Good.
And nobody else exists. It is just me.
It's just Liam.
I am Violet, and I am the beauty within the void.
I am Levi, and I am the voice of Liam's subconscious.
Wow.
Hello. Welcome to hell.
And then we have our guest for today, Papa.
Hi everyone, I'm BobTheDoctor27. I'm very happy to be here.
And this
Welcome.
is,
Welcome back.
technically speaking, the season finale, although it's going to be a little out of order because the 8-10 episode is the real season finale, but it was recorded before this episode, and it will air technically before this episode, but it won't be
You're spoiling
uploaded
the
until
magic.
after this episode.
You're spoiling the magic.
It's gonna be
Good
spoiled
times.
anyways on 8-10 when it airs first.
I
In
didn't
the
mention.
in the wise words,
I acted like it was recorded on that day.
in the wise words of Homestuck, magic is fake as shit.
The
Good times are over. The
And we have
finale. Bob the Doctor, aka Papa Nui, presents book.
The end of the good times.
We have just one story for today. It's Legacy Weapons.
Indeed.
I don't think it's released publicly yet, so hopefully it will be by the time people will be aware to read this before this
How
episode.
come, why come that we only read this one book?
Well, it was long.
It's a big book.
Indeed.
What's it?
Book.
Was
an
it?
actual book.
I think we could have fit in 20,000 more books just as long as this book. In this,
No, that's
in this reading
madness.
period. I am the madness.
Yeah, enough madness for today. I deal with enough just
So
living.
what is this book called? So what is this book called?
It's called Legacy Weapons, isn't it?
In it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Who's on the cover?
Depends on
Those-
which cover you're looking at.
There's
Oh,
many
yeah, there's
different
alternate
covers.
Oh shit, there are? Ah.
It has a whole bunch of them.
Yes.
I like the
Ah.
one with my first regular Toa set.
The one I
Iruni.
saw was one of the Toahaga.
I also appreciate that there are things in, like, we reread the Google document, so these presumably won't be in the actual release version. But I love how, like, every so often between chapters or paragraphs, there are just memes relating to what we've been reading. And one of them is just like that image of like a bunch of guys standing around one woman on a couch, and it's just all the Toa Mari standing around Iruni.
Yeah.
More books should
Jesus.
have memes. More books should just have memes in them. More books should just randomly have interspersed with memes into them.
I told Greg Farsky this many times, but he didn't seem to want to hear me.
Greg,
Imagine
insert
why.
the meme. Greg,
all he
insert the memes.
all he said was, and I quote, "Stop sending me emails."
Who is
Greg,
this?
Greg, you will insert the memes into the books. It is
Leave my
how
family
they are
alone.
It is how they are
Why
meant
did you
to be
get my
seen.
phone number?
I know all the phone numbers. So anyway, Legacy Weapons. It begins.
Indeed.
It does. Begins at the
It
beginning.
does. It begins at a beginning. Yes.
In the time before time.
No, that's how it ends. Let's go. Max,
Spoilers?
you're-
Wow.
Hi.
you run with the bulls. Lead the show.
Yeah. That's true. I am supposed to do that. Chapter 1. It starts with the Toahaga helping to migrate a bunch of the Rocky from the Batorn universe to Spheres Magna, where they can live. We want them to live, don't we? We like animals sometimes.
Living.
Ideally, yeah.
Living is
I think
living is
that would be
important.
pretty sick.
Wild animals do enjoy being alive.
Yeah, that's what they try to do. They try their
Yeah.
best. So that's the gist of what they're doing at the start. What happens next? Bob, what happens next?
Bob.
What happens? Well, firstly, what happens in this chapter is I start a precedent of trying to name as many unseen Rahi as I can. So this story has a lot of Rahi that just never appeared in the story. So the first one that's introduced here is a potato cairn. Barely was mentioned anywhere.
I love that about you.
Well, thank you. I love unknown Rahi, and I love stuffing them into stories and whatever hole will fit.
I like the dermis turtle.
Oh yeah, well, what happens next?
I love plopping my things into where they will fit all the time.
Exactly.
Enough of that.
But yeah, what happens next is the narrative shifts to the Toamari. So this story takes place specifically in this time period where the gold skin being has been created, and he has the Toamari under his control.
I think it takes place like during Samad's tale, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was unclear about that until, like, literally the end.
Yeah, same.
Because I am a silly, dumb, idiot bitch.
Well, it's established in the very start of the story that the Matoran universe has been destroyed and they're clearing it out. So it's kind of like continuation post-2010, that era.
It will probably be clear over the course of this podcast, but I am not in a very good mental state and was not clear at a good time of how the mental...
Well, yeah, because like the story itself, yeah, it takes place after the reformation, but it wasn't entirely clear to me until it was mentioned that Anona showed up that this is when it was exactly where it was taking place at.
I mean, I figured
felt really silly.
because in Samad's tale, Anona destroys the fortress,
right?
And so I'm just like, well, you know. And we're getting to the part where the Mari are like building it for the first time. So I'm like,
put it this way: I haven't read Samad's tale in like what 7 or 8 years.
Well, that's your problem.
It's a skill issue right there. You need to read Samad's tale every day.
I felt very silly when I was done with the story, and I realized everything that I was not thinking about.
Yes.
I should always be thinking about everything all the time, but I'm not usually thinking about anything all the time because I'm not usually thinking. Anyway, the Toamari exist.
Yes.
We sure do. Only 5 of them, though.
Only 5 of them.
One of them croaked.
One of them dead, super dead.
It was pretty funny.
Jesus! It's pretty funny.
So the golden skin being is like, all right, Toamari, please make me a home. Pretty please. And then they do it using their elemental powers, and they're like, anything for you, father.
Daddy.
Golden
daddy.
Skin boy. So they do it.
Typical gathered friends. They said they would do the thing, and they did the thing, and it was good.
Sorry, I'm low energy. My bad.
Goldilocks' power set is that he can manifest the dreams of others.
I like how his characterization in this is right out of the gate. He's entirely disinterested in the Skakdi. He only keeps them around because they serve his ends. But at this point he's just like, I want more tasty thoughts.
Yeah, the Skakdi are kind of lame.
It's because the Skakdi's dreams are uninteresting. He wants interesting dreams.
Yeah. And so he effectively spends the entire rest of the story with the Toamari just being like, "Feed me, Seymour."
Well, it's because the Toamari have PTSD, which is a whole emotional experience completely foreign to the Skakdi.
But as we see as things go along, he'll eventually just start getting bored of that too.
Yeah, he is so bored. He is such a fickle bitch.
A lot of very tasty people turn up to this fortress in the space of 3 days. So,
yummy.
The Bionicle is a very interesting universe, except when it isn't, because sometimes things just won't happen for 10,000 years.
Yeah,
and then everything will happen for 3 days.
That's how life be, you know.
That's
Well,
just
I've said it
how-
before. I said it before. I'll say it again. Most of Bionicle's time and scale problems could be resolved by just lopping off a 0 or 2.
I'm gonna lop off your zeros.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I don't want that to happen. But
No,
anyway,
I'm 0, the lopper of zeros. 0, 0, 0,
Enough.
0.
so the golden skin being is just thinking about how awesome the Mari are, and he's like, this is gonna be fun. Then chapter
This is
2,
where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins. Chapter 2, we start in a little dream of Kongu, and he is back in Likoro.
You're having a little
having
party.
fun. Yeah, they're always celebrating.
They are having a blast here, just making the
And he's a
focus.
baby again. He's a beautiful
I was
baby
once a
boy.
Matoran. I was once Matoran sized.
But he's sad because he realizes this beautiful memory is a fake.
Yeah. Then the golden skin being shows up and is like, "Hey, this is a good memory, but why are you kind of sad still, dog?
Yeah.
This doesn't make sense."
My friend died. And then
You know, he's
Goldie's
like,
like,
"Hey."
that's the one dream I can't manifest.
Dreams are powerful, homie.
Dream
What do
something
you
I
dream
can't
about?
do, man. Goldie's like, come on, man. You gotta cheer up. Cheer the fuck up.
I do take a lot of these sections as like it feels like the golden skin being is just having a therapy session with them. The Mario
yes.
These are-
With his golden skills.
Yeah, these are like one of the initial ideas for this story was someone suggested, have a story about the Toamari getting some well over needed therapy, like long overdue, like just a session with the gold skin being. So this is Kongu's session here where he kind of reflects over like the historic past of this comfortable time when he was a Matoran. And given everything that he's seen as a Toamari, given the loss of Matoro, given everything that's happened since then, he kind of wants to return to this very welcome fantasy of like childhood years, of simpler times where the only thing you had to worry about were Ahi attacks and the sun
Return
setting.
to short.
Yeah, returning to just something that in his frame of reference is easier.
Something he knows.
Exactly,
I love too how Kongu and Huki get their therapy sessions, and then the rest of them are just constantly exposed to trauma over and over again.
There are different stages of the process.
I
They're in
suppose you
denial.
could call that exposure therapy.
Yeah.
I found this book fascinating, and this part especially, like the golden skin being does genuinely, he feeds off of emotions, and he wants to help and he wants to manipulate their emotional state, but he does genuinely also want to improve their emotional state if possible.
It's
If
therapy
only-
with
if only
malicious intent.
Yeah,
If
because like
only for-
he wants
like-
to improve their emotional state so that he can get better dreams out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, give
Yes.
me tastier food.
Happier
Yes,
bodies
this
make
is a-
tastier dreams.
This is such
Exactly.
a fascinating. This is such a fascinating plot thread, and I love
Free
it.
range
And
chickens
you-
make tastier eggs.
free range chickens make tastier eggs. Yes, the Toamari are free range chickens, and you are a very
Yeah.
smart man, Mr. Doctor.
So
Thank
the
you.
thumbnail is just going to be the Toamari as chickens then. Got it.
No,
Well, the
yes,
thumbnail. The
Yes.
thumbnail is going to be the Toamari sat around the sofa with Iruni on it.
Chickens. Duck,
You know what?
duck,
You know what? We
goose.
could have Chip draw that. We could.
duck, goose.
But yeah, the significance of this one here is Kongu hears the songs of Likoro, and he hears the familiar sounds, but also the life song of the forest. And he has this disconnect where he can't really hear it anymore. Like he can hear the sounds, but it doesn't connect with him. And it's because he's come so far and he's changed so much, and he's starting to wonder. And he truly returned to this,
No.
and no,
You
he
can't
can't
go
really.
home
And
again.
that's, yeah, you can't go home. You can't become a child again. You can't go back to things being simpler. You can't unthink the memories and the thoughts that you have. And he kind of discovers this. So the first thing he wants is to go back to simpler times. And he kind of says at the end, like the Goldskin Being asks him, what would you like? What can I make? Considering I can't bring your friend back. He says,
that's
make
like
a
the
world
one thing I can't do.
Yeah. He's like, make a world that doesn't need Toa. Or find someone more pure-hearted because I've got nothing left to give. So he doesn't really see himself worthy of this wish, and he doesn't see himself as being able to return to goodness, to feeling better. So quite a sad sort of melancholy he's going through. But the reason I put Kongu first, and the reason I had this very vivid description of Lake Oro, was because I didn't want to write shoot speak for Kongu, and this was the easiest way.
Ain't that just the explanation all the time for every day?
Every
No
green
more
boy.
Shoot speak, tree speak, whatever speak. But yeah, that's the opening of this chapter, and it starts off with green, lots of green.
Yes.
Yay! I love it. I have a cat.
What? Anyway, so then Gaki and Trinuma are kind of like just scoping out what's going on with the fortress, and they're like, oh, what the hell are the Mari into now? This is unfortunate. That's what Gaki said.
And Trinuma is just kind of here. I don't know how Gaki even knows him.
Who doesn't know Trinuma? He's charismatic as hell.
So the reason he's here is he is the order agent who sent the Toamari on their mission in the first place. So they were sent to Zakaz.
Oh, so this is his fault.
Yeah, it's his fault. And yeah, like the Toamari haven't been seen since he sent them on this mission. And now the Matanui has fallen and the universe has ended since then. It's a very busy 3 days. They've kind of reconvened and they're like, right, who saw the Toamari last? And they've established it was Trinuma. So that's kind of the reason he's here. He's now investigating, like, where did they end up? And that has taken him to Gaki, and they've now together gone to scout out this fortress as Parker told them to in, I think it was the Yesterday quest or the Powers That Be?
Powers That Be.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, so they're together just investigating what's going on. And as well, because he is an Order of Matanui agent with a mask of charisma, it's very useful for him to be here in this scene.
True.
Charismatic as hell.
Yeah.
And he's red!
It's also an excuse to have yet another combiner model who barely appears in the story.
Yes.
Nice.
I want to point out real quick, there's a typo on page 8. It says Tribuma instead of Trinuma.
How did I overlook that one? I noticed a couple that I already pointed out. I didn't notice that one.
It's his brother.
Trinuma's replacement.
No, he's just an older Trinuma. He's boomer. He's a boomer.
Okay, what if... Okay. This is a bit of a tangent. This is a bit unrelated. What if Botar's replacement is named Bobar? Botar with a typo.
No. We established that Botar's replacement is just normal Botar. He went back to the Red Star, just teleported back, and took on a different name.
Botar with a typo. Botar with a type, but the name...
He just put on like the Groucho mask and teleported back.
Okay, but we're establishing he has a different name, so it's gotta be Botar with a typo. Botar with a typo.
That's literally his name, Botar with a typo.
Exactly, Botar with a typo.
So Gaki has a vision from her mask of clairvoyance.
I find it weird how that's described as like her visions are clearer now that Matanui is gone. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me because when Matanui was
don't you know Matanui is the problem?
Well, I mean, when he was still around and everyone was in the universe they were supposed to be in, a lot of things were preordained, which would make you think that the visions would be clearer then. And now that destiny is not set in stone, everything would be a lot harder to focus on.
That's how it works in Homestuck.
Yeah.
Always with the Homestuck with you.
Do you want me to explain?
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
because
basically, there's
No,
a character
stop.
who can see the
No.
future.
No.
Gaki
Where
has a
were we?
vision.
Yes. The vision is so it's the Toahaga. They're about to battle some monstrous creatures. It's a bunch of them, as in hordes of them. Haha. And it's among the settlements of the Matorna Nagori. She notices that one of the Toahaga is missing, and it's a different Toa taking his place.
The green
That
one.
Toa was Iruni.
The green one.
Yes,
It
the
was.
green and gold one, my favorites.
Fuck
Was
you.
it ever explained who that Toa taking his place was? I don't recall that ever really being followed up on.
No, the future will explain.
Yeah, that comes into play further in the story,
Yes,
but I'll
indeed.
make it clear when we get there.
Okay.
That's a spoiler,
There's
friend.
two possible answers, but yeah, what I wanted to do here was actually give Gaki a vision that comes true over the course of the story. I was really disappointed in Dwellers in Darkness when Gaki previously, the last time she had a vision, she predicted that one of their number would not make it back from the mission, and it was implied a Toahag is going to die. And it ended up being Zakdan, who was accompanying them on the mission.
One of the people who joined them in between having the vision and the incident happening.
And he didn't even die. So, yeah, it just did not come true.
Well,
so
it all depends on her interpretation. They thought he died. To be fair.
Yeah, but he's not even a member of the team. Basically, that was a really unsatisfying vision. I think we can all agree. So this time,
to be fair, he doesn't exist anymore.
Well, to be fair, Zakdan does not exist anymore. He is now the Goldskin being.
But
so in a way,
it is implied in multiple parts of this story that the individual personalities on some level are still present.
Yeah. Somewhere in there.
It is.
As the sole plural representation in this podcast, I can attest that is how it works. Hi there.
So, man, I am off my game today. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's all right, mate. You can do
my
it.
brain is mush. I haven't slept much. Bob, what's next? What happens next?
What happens next? Yeah, we have this vision, and specifically in this vision, we see Iruni is not there. So it's this, what's happening with Iruni? What's going to happen with Iruni over the course of this story? We don't know. We don't know yet. Well, we might as well stop the recording now. Jeez. Okay.
What happened?
Yeah. So she asks Trinuma, what do you make of this vision? And he says, I don't know. Could be anything. I'm not the one with the mask of foresight.
I don't know. I just live here.
I don't know. I'm the charisma guy. Why are you asking me? So he says, he gives her two options. He says it could be a new Toa who is arriving. We're on Spherus Magna. You could be seeing some new Toa coming into being. Or you could see a new ally. And she says, that was way, way too optimistic of you. That's definitely not what this means. It's probably something much worse.
She was quite right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like Trinuma. He does have the charisma.
I like him. He read.
He
also
has
excited to get a new
charisma and
Toa.
he doesn't afraid of anything.
Yeah, I'm excited to get a new Toa. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yay.
Because didn't it say that the new Toa was wearing Iruni's armor? Like
Symbolically, yeah. So the idea is there's another Toa standing among them who is wearing his armor, like taking his place in the Toahag. So symbolically, it's just someone else wearing his armor who's a part of their team.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what to make of this because that's unlike any vision she's had previously, where someone has died or, it's given her like a specific. Whereas in this case, it's a very vague, like she's seeing a subjective image of someone else in his place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Understandable.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
What Trinuma is like as well at the end.
And the walls will ooze green slime.
So the next thing that happens is before Toahaga are reconvening, like after a day of their recovery operation, helping Rocky migrate.
More very interesting visuals here of them, inside the crumbling Matoran universe with like entire continents like hanging from the ceiling and crumbling down,
Mountains.
Yeah,
and
gravity is
stalactites.
weird like that.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that visual, and I really hope I can do like some promotional imagery to go with this story.
I like it.
Yeah,
about that.
like over the course of this podcast, I've made note of a bunch of things that would be really good things to commission someone to draw.
Yeah,
I like it.
This one would be a cool graphic novel.
Yeah, it would. So in this specific case, they're now in Karzani's realm, and Norik is just being really sus. He's just going off alone. He's leaving the team. They don't really know what he's doing, but he's taking long breaks, and he's not really here to clear Rahi. What's going on there?
Theft.
He's sifting through trash. He's looking for something.
Yeah.
Yes, but then the Rahi Nui comes.
The Rahi Nui is
he coming.
quite good as well. I like this bit.
Yeah.
He coming.
Oh Lord, he coming.
Rahi Nui comes in.
Oh boy.
Yes, the Rahi Nui comes in and they fight it, and it's intense. They make it slow and sleepy.
They did it, and it was not good.
Oh no, this was awesome. I like it.
Oh yeah, I'm just making a joke.
This is such a good fight.
While they're fighting it, Iruni is being reckless as heck. Kind of gets knocked unconscious because he's not listening to Norik's orders. And, everyone's frustrated with Iruni.
Fuchs also says that Makuta decided to build the Rahi Nui differently. I like the managing to slip in built different.
Wallace almost dies.
Tastefully done.
You would also
Almost
imagine,
dies.
like, over the course of how many thousands of years that the Haga were as Rahaga, it's stated outright that did nothing to quell Iruni's temper and his desire to do more. And I don't know, I just think that should have given him a little bit more wisdom, but
nope, just made him more pissy. Pissy.
It just pissed him off more.
Made him more pissy.
Oh,
If anything, he's more immature after spending thousands of years as an old man.
Yeah, he became a Toa again. He forgot all of that wisdom, like right out the door. He's like, right, I've got muscles again.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing I'm really proud of here is, like, I remember years and years ago, I saw a Rahi creation on Bionicle.com gallery, ancient times, like 20 plus years ago. And someone in the description said, this Rahi approached and it was with a vibration that not even Toa Onua recognized. I loved that description, and I've actually used it here, where Bomonga...
plagiarism?
No. I changed the name.
Arrest this man.
You literally copied someone else's homework and changed the names.
Well, if you can find the original...
Revoke
if
his
you can find
license.
the original. You can prove that.
There's no proof, so it's yours now.
Exactly. In a way, I'm honoring that person, you could say. Anyway.
No, I agree. You are.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Absolutely just ribbing you there.
They use
for sure.
They use Ratuka to put his dick back up together.
They do. They use Ratuka.
They use Ratuka to put the Rahi Nui's dick powers back together.
What are you saying?
Well, one thing that I found interesting is that it was explained that he traded off his powers that he had before for something different. I thought that was an interesting explanation for why even if it was just a bit of a throwaway line, it was a good way to try and justify why in Tales of the Masks that he just didn't use any of the powers that he had when he was fighting the Toa Metru.
Yeah, because the Kanoka hadn't been introduced yet.
Yeah.
So anyway, That's how they do it.
Yeah.
And then they spend the rest, and then they just walk the Rahi Nui out of the thing.
And it's implied that there's a degree of higher intelligence with the Rahi Nui, because it's stated that it almost seems like it's listening to their conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is in chapter 3, but yeah, for the moment, there's definitely a higher intelligence, and it's special as well because the Rahi Nui is one of those Rahi that just goes unmentioned again after like 2005. I think it last appeared.
Yeah, so it was in Maze of Shadows.
Yeah, it's one of those creatures that we just don't hear anything about, and it's kind of assumed that it got out of the Matoran universe, but we don't know how. So it just stands to reason that it's still here in Karzani, looking for anything else that's still around.
Well, now we don't. Well, now it's a happy ending for all.
How did it get to? How did it get to Karzani? I don't remember that, or are we just saying that it's there?
Well, sometime in the 1,000 years since we last. No, wait, that wasn't 1,000 years.
It just do.
It just do.
Sometime in the last year, it migrated.
Sometimes,
as animals do.
It saw the fight between Cardass and Tatarok and was like, nah, I'm out of here.
It was attracted to, it was drawn to the latent misery of this land.
Oh, it was Cardass going up against the Bow-Rock. That's right. It was like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, I something that I thought about when I was reading this is like, Toahaga move really quickly through this universe. This is all like within like a couple days.
Yeah, they've got
when one of them can turn into a really big boy.
No, but I mean like the entire Matoran universe they're going through. They're helping.
The thing as well is they've got 3 days to clear the universe. I think it was 3 days until it becomes uninhabitable.
Three days to go over like a whole continent at the very least. Yeah, I'm saying. I know. I'm saying it's impressive.
One of them can turn into a really big boy and carry them across the universe. It's fine.
There might be a bit of a problem with that statement. If the universe becomes uninhabitable in 3 days, that could pretty heavily conflict with future stories and restrict how many things can happen inside the universe. Like a world turned upside down, for instance, where it's an entire story taking place in an indescript amount of time in destroyed Metronui.
Well, I mean, just because you can't survive there doesn't mean you can't go there.
Well, I don't want to go into too much detail about that story because it's not even out yet, but let's say it's people that are trying to survive there.
Well, they're going to have a tough time.
Yeah.
You could technically live in the Australian outback, but it would be very challenging.
Well, according to this story, they successfully evacuate everyone in the universe. So blame Bob the Doctor for all of the plot holes in the universe from now on.
Necessary.
The thing is, I know the time period isn't your choice, like how much time they have to do all this in. I'm just saying.
You know what would probably solve?
To me, that's like the one thing in Bionicle that's like a bit of a stretch. I'm just like, how do they do this quickly?
You know what would solve all the timescale problems in the universe?
What would?
A Toa of time.
How about a Toa?
I would settle for them just having a vehicle to travel around the Matoran universe and, to do this job, because if they're on foot, I'm like, I don't buy that.
I have this fun idea. What if Kapura became a Toa and just made everything work?
What if one of them had a massive quick travel?
Oh shit, you're right. I'm stupid. But the others don't, though, and he can't share his mask power with them, can he?
Okay,
or can he just take them?
Okay. What if one of them had a mask of Get Big and just carried them across the universe and ran really fast, like some sort of vehicle that runs fast?
But like the Matoran universe is like obscenely large.
I have an idea. What if we continued with the story?
That's a great idea.
I think we're in like chapter 2 or 3 and we're already 40 minutes in.
Yeah, Bob, tell me what happens next.
So Qualis puts the Rahi Nui to sleep. He's had enough.
And the
They're like, right.
Rahi Nui is dead. The end.
I've never heard someone pronounce his name that way. That's pretty rad.
The Toa have never heard a snoring creature.
They've heard snoring creatures, but no one's ever heard the Rahi Nui snore.
Be fair,
That's what that means.
not many people have ever heard it, period.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Chapter 3.
Before
Chapter
you
3,
see.
Huki has his therapy
The last
session.
thing you hear before you shit.
If you use the Spear of Fusion on the Rahi Nui, would it just turn into its various Rahi components?
Okay.
Oh shit!
Listen here. I'm not here to answer those questions.
I don't think so. 'Cause I don't think it was originally all these different things fused together. It was the parts of them. I think it was created this way.
It was just Heradax putting spare parts together.
Yeah. One final thing that I will say about chapter 2 is it's very poetic that it is the Toa Hag who are rescuing this Rahi,
Why
because
do you keep
the
calling
Rahi
them
Nui,
the Toa Hag?
that's their name.
Oh, they're called the Toa Haga.
A hog.
I think it's just his accent.
Yeah.
Tohaga, Tohaga.
Oh.
It's poetic that they are the ones rescuing this Rahi because this was a Rahi created by their Makuta. So it's like one of his last creations.
Yeah, that's right too.
Oh,
Nice.
everything makes sense in all of time.
That's good.
I
So
love-
Huki has his therapy session, right?
He's therapy, yeah.
Yes,
He's sporting.
he gets the shit kicked out of him in his balls.
He's reliving the Coley tournament from Mask of Light.
The movie!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah! He was barely in that scene.
Yeah.
Nice shooting yourself, Hallie. So he's just like, man, sports are fun.
I found it interesting that very specifically the comet ball was mentioned here.
Here?
Well, I did change that. So the comet ball, that was something Gonel pointed out. That's specifically like Akmau's comet ball. So it's now the Coley balls.
Okay, so
yeah,
I
that's
must
the
have
version I read.
Yeah, I must have read that before you made the revisions then.
Yeah, that was explained to me that the comet ball is specifically the ones created by Akmau, whereas they're just balls. Just balls.
Infected Coley balls are mentioned a lot near the end.
Yes.
You shouldn't let your balls get infected.
Stop it.
Well,
This is
So then the
a
gold-
joke.
So the golden skin being is like, Lamau, you lost a teammate. AKA Matoro.
Ah, shit, fam, he dead.
Bam. Dead.
oh no.
Dead boy. Dead guy. That guy be dead.
A friend is dead.
One
So-
thing I'll say here is we haven't actually had Matoro's name anywhere in the story so far.
Oh my
He's not been
god,
named.
I didn't notice!
I know
Yeah.
who he is.
Until much
I
later,
remember
but-
him.
Yeah, he's
That
kind of
top-
described.
Wait, whoa. When Jowler accidentally said his name during the thing.
Well, yeah, that's the first time it was mentioned.
Holy fuck, really?
Yeah.
It's in chapter 10. Let's get to that later.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's
All
okay
right.
though, because he's described by his absence. Like he's still described, but he's just named. You make
Yeah.
the
I
association in your head.
Oh my god, you are such a good writer. Oh my god.
Thank
Moving
Thank
on.
you.
So the Toahaga, they finish doing their business in Zaya's Telton-Zakas. That's great.
Didn't make it to Metro
I
New
clap for them. Well,
because
you
that
know,
would have taken too long.
Yep. That's the one that'll take too long. The smallest island.
They spent 1,000 years in Metro New. They don't want to go back right now.
I know.
I wanna go, yeah.
I'm just being silly. I accept it because, it's fiction.
I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, so they get an update on what's going on in the powers that be. They learn that Lezovic has apparently killed Karzani, and they're like, "Oh, damn, That's awful.
Oh,
Over the course of this-
oh no, what a shame.
Oh,
Anyways,
Oh.
Over the course of this story, they never learn. They never learn more developments of that story.
Exactly, because they're busy
They're
with
busy.
other
yeah.
things.
Got other stuff.
Yeah, but
As well, that other story takes place, I think, the day after the climax of this story. So it's
Your
not happening.
face takes place after this story.
it's not
that
very
good or-
nice.
I don't know.
What am I saying?
Baba Booey.
I guess I am saying that.
Okay, so
There's a Sumatoran gatekeeper, and that reminds me of one of your old mocks.
Thank
Bob.
you. Yeah.
Was that a reference to that?
Which one was it?
that
The
a
one who
cameo
had,
from a character? What was that one character you had? That toe of plasma.
it was Toa Thode.
Yeah, is this
It wasn't
Thode as
him,
Matoran?
No, so
Oh.
this is just a random. Like I suggested to Gonel one day, we should have like a Sumatoran up here, and he's just a gatekeeper somewhere. And I put him into Legacy Weapons here, and he also appeared in Mazeka in Gonel's story. So
Oh, sweet.
what ended up happening was he originated in this story, but Mazeka came out first. So this is technically his first ever appearance. That's just random Sumatoran NPC gatekeeper.
Well,
but he's-
I in my head I imagined it as Thode when I was
Okay.
reading this.
oh cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy.
and I bet he has a rich personal backstory.
You know, I did originally have a scene in this story where the Toa had a council meeting. It was really boring, but it started off with all of the Toa in one place, and I had a line where Koalas like nods at a Toa of plasma, and I don't name him, but it's Thode. Like he's just there in this meeting.
Yay!
Oh yeah,
Oh, we got two Thodes up in here.
Oh yay! Oh yay! I like it.
What happens next? What happened?
Yeah,
What happened next after
so
Thode?
they arrive on Spherus Magna, and they now they journey towards the Matoran settlement. So this is wherever the Matoran are camped, and as they do, they pass this this field of wreckage, all the salvage that has been dredged from the Matoran universe.
Look at all this glorious trash.
All this
Isn't it
glorious
beautiful?
trash.
All this beautiful garbage.
Yeah, there's a moment where
It's just like me
Willis-
for real.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a moment where Pulis hears about a gravel hawk, which is a Baramagna Rahi flying bird, and he's like, "Oh, I wonder what stories of the languages of the flyers of this world will tell." And it's implying like there's a wider breadth of creatures on this world for him to study. And meanwhile, Norik kind of stops and he looks at this one particular piece of scrap, and he's drawn to it for reasons he can't explain. That will come into play later. And then he's like, "Oh, that's cool."
It's just he really likes rectangles. No other reason.
Yeah.
No other reason. He just likes rectangles. He's like, damn, that is a damn fine rectangle. Damn.
A very good rectangle.
Doing.
And then after that, they meet Turaga Doom and Gaki, and they are finally reunited as a team. So they're 6 to a hog once again, and they're Turaga bestie.
Let's go, bro. So yes, now it's time for New Pyro's therapy session, and he's on Voyanui.
He's the last
Helping-
one to have proper therapy and not be exposed to constant trauma.
He
Yeah.
is the
Yes,
last
you can-
one to not be terrifying to read.
So he's got the Zamor sphere
Zamor.
launchers. He's making them with Velika.
Certainly
our
not
friend
somebody
Velik, I
with
remember
shovels
him.
for hands.
Yes, certainly not someone
remember him.
evil. Yeah, he's just
Good thing I'm not evil.
putting together the thing. He's the first one who actually seems to almost be sort of enjoying his presence in this illusion.
Yeah.
The Goldskin being kind of notices that he's sort of enjoying himself, but like also kind of not.
Yeah, and then he remembers, oh wait, I'm making weapons.
Weapons.
Yeah, and then Nuparu was like, yeah, so the coolest shit that I've ever made has been really fucked up, actually.
I made a dead baby mech.
I made a mech out of dead babies.
Not the short people.
I made a mech out of dead babies for the babies who died to make the mechs. Oh my god. It's like Neon Genesis Evangelion all up in this.
If Takua had ever ridden a boxer.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
That would be fucked up.
Yeah, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like
ironic.
It's Chip. Draw Kirby's epic yarn, but it's Takua saying he feels like pants.
Any thoughts on Nuparu's part?
I mean, I just like Nuparu, man.
Nuparu's sad baby.
I thought it was.
I do like how his attitude towards all this was different.
Yeah. He likes making things. He just doesn't think that he likes making things. He just doesn't want to make weapons anymore.
Well, too bad for him.
Too bad for him. Because he lives in a world where bad things happen.
Weapons.
And in fact, this is apparently his happiest memory, and he's working with the bad guy.
Yes, but he was really cool.
At the time, he was really cool and mysterious.
Yeah, he was really fun to be around at the time.
He was really fun to be around at the time.
At the time, he wasn't a Nazi.
Or the allegations.
What did the Golden Entity say again? He was like...
So the Golden Entity is recognizing you're the inventor. You're the one who's most likely to think up something that I can use, so gimme.
Gimme the good treats.
And Nuparu kind of ends up edging it.
Yeah, he's a big tease, really. He does.
What about a box that makes electricity?
A great idea. If only he made that over the course of the story.
Apparently he built. Apparently he built some kind of generator, but he probably just.
Yeah. Oh well, the idea there is that in the fringes, the Goldskin being does grant some wishes. He does. There's little things that they do. Like in Nuparu's case, he does actually end up building something, but that's a bit later. That's outside of this vision where he is specifically. He's engaging with how he thinks about inventing, like what inventing means to him and why he does it. And in this case, it's, this was necessity. This was the tools for survival. In this case, it was to free the Matoran. It's the one virtuous time that's not tainted by dead Avmatoran or Vahki that he can return to.
Now it's just going to be tainted by the guy who helped him.
He made the Vahki. Yeah. That was also his fault.
Thanks, Nuparu.
If only the Vahki were fine until Makuta interfered.
No, all cops are bad.
Yeah, but Nuparu at the end he says a line I'm pretty proud of, which is, "No invention would have changed the outcome. After all, there are enough weapons in the world already, and not enough left to wield them. So no matter what he invents."
My guy, you should be proud of this whole dang book.
Oh, thanks.
Even the typos. Especially the typos.
I'll catch them before.
The next bit is Kualis and Iruni having a little fight, a little sparring match with Akar and Kina.
I love this part, yeah.
Me too. It was pretty neat.
Kirbold and Taipu are refereeing this bit.
Yeah,
I thought that was a very interesting pairing.
I think Kirbold is just refereeing. I think Taipu's just like there because he wants to watch.
I like Taipu. Taipu is a good boy.
Bob, tell me which of us is correct.
Well, neither. Gonel asked me could I add some more characters to the story, and I was like, I should name those referees.
So Taipu's a referee.
Yeah, they're both kind of refereeing. So the idea is that they're promoting the Agori arena matches, and they're bringing this towards the inhabitants of the Matoran universe, and they're saying, come have like a practice match with Orgatory, and see our ways, see our customs, and that's why there's a referee both from Bar Magna and a referee from the Matoran universe. So there's 2 referees, one from each universe.
Okay.
So that's why they're paired.
One thing that I found a little confusing during this part was when Kina is fighting Iruni and she gets the upper hand on him, suddenly she can use air power too.
You can use his staff. So his staff has powers of its own.
It does.
It does. The same with Norik. Norik can create lava. Norik's spear can create lava, and Iruni's spear can create cyclones.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
The Toa Haga's equipment is unique among Toa.
Yeah, they're imbued with their own elemental energy that's independent of the Toa. They work like how the Glatorian weapons worked after Matanui modified them.
Yeah, that's why.
Interesting.
That's why later in the story, when spoilers, Iruni's staff gets broke.
No spoilers.
He's like, that shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, so the idea is the Toa Hag spears, they have some elemental capabilities of their own. They can shoot whirlwinds and they can cause avalanches, and that doesn't stem from the elemental powers of the user. That's the staff that does that.
But can it can it heat up can it microwave a burrito so hot that you can't eat it?
What are you okay?
What part of me did I tell you is a burrito that I am always okay? Moving on.
Iruni loses.
Yes! Of course he does.
Particularly.
Of course he does. He's
and he's salty. He's like,
Kulas also loses, but not quite as badly.
Yeah, but he's not a salty salmon about it though.
To be fair, you'd be a salty salmon if you told someone to stay in their lane and then gotten shafted.
Yeah, well, that's Rudy's fault. He shouldn't. He shouldn't have been said things he couldn't back up.
And then Norik is all like, so I had Koalas do this arena battle because I was like, Koalas is like not the strongest of the Toa Haga by even a slight measurement. He is a weak little baby.
Just to put it into perspective, Koalas can't beat an old man. Car is very old.
This bitch needs training up the ass.
Yeah, but Akar is also like a professional fighter, and Kulas hasn't been fighting for like over 1,000 years.
Yeah, Akar in particular is probably like at least 100,000 years older than everyone in the Matoran universe.
That dude is ancient.
And then Norik says, Iruni is strong enough, but like he's a loose cannon cop who won't listen to orders, and he needs some humility training. So, Kina, kick his ass.
Yeah, and she does.
And she does. I wish a Bionicle would kick my ass.
What were you gonna say, Bob?
That way.
Just the fact that we kind of expected that outcome from Koalas versus Akar. But the outcome from Kina versus Iruni is, this spectacular defeat, and Kina dual wielding 2 sets of weapons. Great image, but also Iruni is really salty, and he doesn't concede the match. He just kind of quits and then teleports away. And
he is such a sore loser.
Very edgy.
Edgy boy.
But then at the very end, there's a little line where Akar makes a comparison between Iruni and an old friend of his,
Malum,
a disciple who walked the path of the exile.
And then he stares, mysterious, and he stares at the desert like, this implies that you can read all about it over there.
I do like how Iruni, over the course of this story, is characterized almost like what you would expect, how you would expect Nadiki to act, which is very interesting considering, what his set was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that comparison is very fair.
It's so much.
Yeah, he's a lot.
I like it.
What I wanted to do for Iruni was in some way honor Greg's original plan for Matal and Vakama. So he's kind of a surrogate for what Greg would have wanted for Matal to do, to deviate from the team and go down this darker path. And this complex he has with the Tower of Fire in his team is kind of like a placeholder for Vakama and Matal. But I think the comparison to Iruni is pretty apt as well.
I like it.
He definitely.
I also particularly like that one part during their fight where he just, for no reason but to taunt Kina, he briefly dips into tree speak.
Yeah, pulls out the slang.
Yeah,
pulls out the dialect. He's like, "Hey yo,
that annoying way that we talk, the green ones talk sometimes."
Yo,
Kina.
Paraka.
When Kina
Paraka.
thinks you're annoying.
I like Kina though.
I like Kina.
Yeah,
Also.
she's great.
Anyway,
She's
so
wonderful.
now Bomanga is with Tarduk, and they're helping to figure out where to put the Rocky on Spherus Magna, like which ecosystems and stuff, which habitats. Tarduk asks some funny questions. He's like, that bird has blasters on their wings. That's funny. Thank you, Manutri.
I forgot those things even had names, honestly.
Well,
I really think they should have been modern Kewa birds, and that the Manutri should have been Ka Maranui. I stand by that. I really think they should have been modern Kewa birds. But yeah, this is the first time Manutri had ever been mentioned in a story. And the whole point of this chapter is to acknowledge as many Rahi as I can who just didn't get appearances anywhere else,
including the jungle slicer.
We need to bring Haunt back into this to do a new Rahi rap. Like the Pokemon
slicer.
That's quite a good idea, actually.
Duck goose, duck goose. Duck goose.
Then what is it? The Swamp Stalkers. I forgot about these ones.
So the Swamp Stalker is the mistake. Like Prinuma was the Toa combination. The Swamp Stalker was the Pluta Mystica. Very forgettable combination. Was never mentioned anywhere, which is why I gave a big portion of this to giving some world building for. I felt that was missing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving the combo models some love.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure the designers of those things probably also appreciate that at least one person in the world has given a shit about them at least once.
I built the Swamp Stalker for this story. I got the parts.
Okay, at least twice.
Yeah, I've got it in my little storage bin, my little Swamp Stalker.
I like that. But yeah, so Bomanga kind of realizes that there's no way for new Rocky to be made at this point. So
he realizes this as a Steltian and a Vortex are just tearing into Norik, and he's just standing there taking it.
I was like, give me the Hana crab.
Give me the Hana crabs, you bitch!
I just want crab.
Yeah,
want to eat them.
They are carrying all up on this man.
The importance and prevalence of crabs in this, by the way, I am very pleased with.
Me
Very
too.
glad to hear that.
I like the Hana crabs.
Yeah.
It was a cute little fit model.
Yeah, and this little section here is foreshadowing something later. But
I love crabs.
I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some good conversation here about the crabs being vital to Steltian ecology, which Norik has to point out is no longer a thing anymore. And we have some context here that the Toahag were tasked with relocating the Hana crabs 4,000 years ago. But they didn't manage to do it successfully, and it led to a lot of in-universe politics, which is the reason, it turns out, why Norik didn't include the Hana crabs in Bionicle Rahi. It left such a bad taste in his mouth. And they're still a little salty over this to this day. So just another little explanation as to why this crab never appeared anywhere.
Just imagine that you're so pissed off by your failure to relocate this animal that you just strike the entire species from the written record.
Yep.
It's embarrassing, man.
Yeah. What crab?
What's
There's
next?
no crab.
What happens after this? At this
Imagine
argument?
being a zoologist that's so embarrassed about doing your job that you just scooch away an entire section of your encyclopedia.
Yeah.
You just rip an entire page out of your book. Just bury it.
What are pages?
There's no paper.
Well, I guess there is now that they're on
now.
Spherus Magna.
Got paper now.
Yeah. But the only thing that happens for
Tahu uses does paperwork, and he shows it to Norik, and he's like, "Hey, you seen this invention they got here called paper? It's fucking amazing. This shit."
So what happens next, Bob? After we realize that these Rahi are probably going to go extinct?
Umonga and
Every
Norik kind of have a
Rahi is
little.
going to go extinct eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. And they kind of come to this realization where they haven't really thought about it because they've had other stuff going on. But Umonga kind of points out they do have a point. There's a finite number of Rahi, and they're going to get old. So they're right. We're kind of the closest thing there is to a mutagenist, like the Brotherhood of Makuta. We did watch the Makuta create these Rahi. We might have some knowledge that we should impart.
Speaking of getting old, like, I don't know if this also applies to Rahi, but there was a conversation in the M&L server the other day that made me realize something very similar to this. Turaga are probably going to go extinct at some point too, because apparently they have a finite life cycle.
What?
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, it was brought up when we were discussing like previous leaders of Metru Nui and how Metru Nui has always had a Turaga, and they've had several Turaga in the past. And it just went down the rabbit hole into the BSO1 article for Turaga where it says they do not live forever. So yeah, they're probably going to go extinct at some point as well, which means that theoretically Toa and Matoran will also go extinct if they can't make new ones.
The entire Matoran universe could just fade away into oblivion.
But I feel like we know. Not we, but I feel like they know how to make more Matoran because they got those machines, right? So they could just like salvage them.
Well, Turaga know how to make new Matoran. I don't think the Matoran do.
Get to it.
They better work on that quick, yeah.
Yeah.
They better start passing down that wisdom they hold
better
so
share
dear.
that knowledge, you know?
Gotta pass down those deets.
Duma needs to share that knowledge right now.
Write down them instructions.
It's wild to think that, like, between Rahi and the Matoran race, at some point, if knowledge isn't rediscovered or passed down, literally everyone in the Matoran universe, except for like oddball beings and like Steltians and Vortex, will probably go extinct.
Well, you know, that's just like life in general, isn't it? If you lose knowledge, things die.
It's a recurring trope in a lot of sci-fi as well. What if we outlive the knowledge that we have?
Rudaka is
away
immortal?
someday.
I mean, yeah, I think everyone except for Turaga and possibly Rahi, I would need to look into that, just have unlimited life cycles. And it applies to Toa and Matoran as well. So, like, as it was pointed out in the server, it's not even just a sacrificial thing. When Toa sacrifice their power to become Turaga, they're also giving themselves a biological clock.
They're starting that countdown.
I could think of worse fates than the sole representation of your whole culture being sexy snake people.
Finally, the reference to Sneeple. There it is in the season finale.
Apparently the vortex here is male, but I just could not imagine them as being anything other than like
they
like a
regardless
femboy.
of gender, they all have boobs.
I am sure they are all just like they're all sexy as shit. They're all either Rudaka or just femboys.
Yeah,
but minor side tangent there. It's like everyone will die eventually.
Everyone will die eventually.
Central.
Everyone will die eventually, except for the sexy Sneeple.
Alas. But yeah, that's central to what they're talking about as well, because they realize everyone will die, but we are in a position to maybe pass down some knowledge on the Rahi that could benefit this planet. And they ask, like, should this really be our place? Would this be our legacy? Is it our responsibility to do this? And they kind of discuss this, like, what is the purpose of our team? Is it Rahi? Is it to be Taraka? Like, what
and
are we?
I do think there is room for expansion on that idea, because we also can't forget, like, especially during this specific conversation where the Steltian is talking about how, the ecosystem will be terribly disrupted by not having the Hannah around. And while that point is immediately refuted by stating that Stelt is gone, on the flip side of that, you've just introduced hundreds of new species to a generally established ecosystem. What is that gonna do?
Well, it's gonna things will change. That's it.
It's not exactly a generally established ecosystem anymore, to be fair, in that these planets have all been recently smashed together, and there's going to be species from each. But
I do think that at the end of the day, there are going to be native species that are going to be driven to extinction by Rahi, just by the fact alone that they will almost certainly outlive the native species.
Well, that's nature, baby.
Yeah.
That's how life works.
True. And they have to find a way to fix this issue before time runs out. But that will be a problem for them later down the line. I think that's going to be this story does pose the question of what will the Toahag become? Where is their place in this universe? And I think that their place must involve the Rahi. Their destiny ultimately must be to make sure these Rahi resettle and to ensure the longevity of these ecosystems.
They're the shepherds, man.
They are. They're each a specialist in a different Rahi field. If you can really count climbers as a field, sure.
Going back to the story, though, I particularly like how Tarduk is the one to be like the student of the Haga here. I think if any of the Agori would be that interested in everything going on here, it would be Tarduk.
I'm glad you liked that choice. I was pretty fond of it too. I thought which Agori could be a good foil here for one of the especially Bomonga, who is quite a Rahi enthusiast. Who could he speak to? Oh, Tarduk. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. So I'm glad that this worked out.
Fish. I like. Good. I'm gonna do it.
So what's the next thing that happens?
Therapy.
Yes.
The next thing is actually not therapy.
I would not describe what is about to happen as therapy, honestly.
Oh, don't forget Gaki's part.
Oh, never mind. Yes,
let's
put off the Hallie's part. Let's go to Gaki. Gaki, what's Gaki doing? Gaki. How do you put the blue one?
Gaki, I think.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird in the movie. Norik has like some weird inflection or a stutter.
No, it's called a diphthong. That's what it's called. It's because there's two A's. That's actually correct because he's saying it correctly. We're the ones butchering it. Yeah,
it's because we have a terminal case of the bad mouth.
Or just laziness in my case sometimes.
I am.
Yeah, Gaki, she confides her vision in someone, So she talks to Elks, and they're skipping stones in a stream that's just been created. They're having some downtime, and they're just discussing this vision. And she confides to him the vision specifically foretells Iruni will not be among their number anymore, and it's specifically Iruni who will be leading.
Iruni will not be among us.
Oh no!
Sadly,
Iruni will not return for Avengers 2.
Oh. But yeah, she talks to Pauks because Pauks is a skeptic. Like, he really does not believe in the value of her visions, and he even says in the story, "You only really come to me if you want someone to cast doubt in your vision." So, what's happened? Give me the deep, girl. And she does. She does in the end give him the deets, and he's like, "Well,
spill the tea."
Pretty convincing, actually.
Yeah, for once, that's actually pretty clear. Damn, bro.
Yeah, actually, damn. Yeah. So they have a little bit of fun skipping stones, and Pauks is infinitely better at it until the moment where Gaki controls the water.
Yeah.
To just swallow his pebble. But yeah, they just discuss Iruni a little bit. They discuss how he did actually leave the team originally before they became Rahaga. He did actually quit at that point, and at that time it was because he felt that the Toahag weren't doing enough for the Matoran to protect the universe. So he kind of went his own way, but did come back right before they were mutated into Rahaga. So they're just kind of predicting this could happen further down the line. We don't know, but it is kind of on brand for Iruni. And they just decide to keep a watchful eye over their teammate and see what happens next.
They have eyes.
They do. And
they do have eyes.
Metallic teeth.
Teeth?
Yeah.
As do their enemies.
Then we got a therapy session for Holly, where she's back in the pit.
That's one word for it.
That's one word for it. That's one word for therapy. Therapy. Okay, so
she's bloodthirsty.
So they're playing Dark Souls.
Yeah, Holly's is pretty tragic, actually. Quite violent and quite tragic.
I think this one is more like Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, Dynasty Warriors, that's what it is. Dynasty Warriors. So Hallie's playing Dynasty Warriors.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's it.
The end.
That's it. That's the end of the story. The end. Everybody dies!
We did it.
All right. Take it down a notch.
No.
All right. So, what is it? So yeah. So she's fighting in the pit. You know, she's enjoying it, which is, you know, crazy for a Toa. She's straight up killing animals. She's like, I love killing animals. I love it.
Murder.
Yeah, and Goldie's like,
the Toa code. What's that?
Whoa, bitch, you're a little crazy. I like it, but chill though.
Then what is it? She's fighting the Baraki. There's a picture of Prydak for some reason.
Yeah, because like this Goldskin being comes in as like, yes, I like this. What do you desire? I desire more. Okay, here's the Baraki. Go nuts.
Yeah.
He just waves his hand and the Baraki show up and is like, oh yes, this will do nicely.
There's also a moment where he waves his hand and the pit war tortoises appear. So
I love them.
Another instance of them.
I love the pit war tortoises. They're the best.
I like
so
turtles. I like turtles.
I like trains.
Turtles. Trains! Turtles and trains are the same thing. Prove me wrong!
No.
With enough codification, I'm sure I can prove you right.
So anyway, Hallie.
She wants to go back to the surface. That's when she realizes. She's like, I want to go air.
She's like, I think I'm terrible, and also I'd like that to not be.
Mari all have PTSD.
Ali especially here. Like, this is the PTSD chapter. So this vision, she is descending further and further into the pit. So she starts off in Mari Nui, goes further down into the realm of like the sea creatures, and then it's like the pillars of salt and the very bottom of the pit where they had the final battle. That's where she faces the Baraki, and she just wants to fight. She just wants to indulge in this barbarianism, and I think it was observed back in 2007. She became quite confrontational in the pit, and she really indulged in the opportunity to fight as a tower of water. So she's really just caught in this spiral, and it reaches an end point where she realizes she doesn't actually want to kill the Baraki. She doesn't actually want to kill. Like she still wants, like she still looks up to want to go back to the surface, back to dry land, all the way up above. But she realizes by the end of this chapter that she can't see the surface anymore. She's gone so far down that it's just darkness above.
Yeah.
This is called the Hadopelagic layer. It is very dark.
I think it's quite relatable, actually, that she just wants to know she isn't evil for having such dark thoughts and desires.
And it's even more tragic that, you know, after later on how it's established that, like, this probably isn't the first time that the Goldskin being has subjected her to this vision.
Galler is the first Koa who will later, in his thing, he'll be like, "You've been doing this to all of us multiple times. How long have you been doing this? How many times have you exposed us to this specific visions?"
Yeah. We'll get to that in chapter 6, but yeah, they're going through these visions constantly, and they're all going through different stages. So they're all in the pit, they're all on Voyanui, they're all at the Koli tournament, they're all at the moment.
They're all partying in Waiwahi.
They're all in Matoran balls.
Yeah,
they're all back in the Civil War as generals.
I should have done one of their.
They're all playing Koli in Mask of Light for some reason.
Yeah. I should have done one of their visions just being trapped in the Matoran ball.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, one thing I'm pretty happy with, the picture of Prydak that's in this chapter is because I said that if the Baraki weren't bloodied before, they certainly were now. Yeah, so it's just a little reference to Prydak being bloody.
Okay, this is a little tiny side tangent, but like, I seem to recall, I don't know if this is true or not, because it was one of those like early mid-BZ Power rumors, but I seem to recall there was controversy surrounding Prydak because of the red on his face. Yeah, and I was told that they made like an alternate version of that part without it, but I don't think that part was real.
No, I don't think that part was real.
If they did, it was maybe a prototype. It was never photographed. But I would recommend Brian Ellis, who is the set designer for Prydak, for Nuparu Mari, and for the Toa Fantoka, the Makuta Fantoka even. He did a video recently on YouTube where he talked about the design process behind Prydak. It's a fascinating video. I really recommend checking it out if you can. But yeah, he talks about the bloodied features and how he I think he intended it to be like scarring originally, not like he's just chowed down on a small fish or something. It wasn't specifically meant to be blood, but it's meant to be like battle damage.
I mean, that works until you consider the weapons, and then it's like,
I think check out that video for more information on that, because he does really he does a deep dive into the Baraki and the inspiration behind Prydak specifically.
I like it.
But yeah, Holly, she's not having a great time here.
No, it really isn't. This is the first of the torturous sessions, and it's quite grim.
This girl be troubled.
So anyway. The Toahaga have gotten to the Skakti fortress, and they're like,
"Oh yeah,
what the hell is this?" They're so quick with it.
What? Not there yet. They're talking. This is chapter 5, like second half of that chapter. So they're talking about going to the Skakti fortress. They're now reconvened as a team, and
this is when they meet with Tahu.
Yeah, Tahu be
Right.
I'm a
like,
fool.
Tahu be like, oh my god, hey, Tahu be like, hey, you're my only guys, go do it.
Yeah. So I had to push to get some availability in Tahu's schedule during these 3 days. He is busy as fuck, man.
Yeah, he's the president of Bionicles.
He is. He's got a planet to run.
You ever try arranging a meeting with the president? It is not easy.
Yeah, he's here on his lunch break right now.
I should know. I meet with the president every day. What president of what? I don't know. I might be lying.
Yeah. So Tahu sends them on their mission here. So he says, you, Toa, Hog are the only ones I can trust. Toa Nuva, I don't know what Lewa is doing. I don't know where Kopaka or Pohatu are, but they're not available right now. So I need a complete Toa team to go do this thing. And you guys are the only one that's left, because we need to get the Toa Mari home. They're over there. They're with this Skakti guy who we think in mind control, maybe? Don't know. Need you to find out. And we have a few moments here where Iruni shines through, and he's very keen to throw himself into this fight, into all guns blazing, not really thinking about what happens, what could go wrong. This is classic Toa Hog. They're all thinking about what could go wrong and why we should be cautious. He's throwing caution to the wind, and he just wants to charge in. And the rest of his team don't have. They have reservations. So he appeals to Tahu. He's like, Tahu, what would you do? Are you on my side? And he finds out Tahu is actually not on his side. Tahu agrees with Norik. And that really, really takes the wind out of his sails.
Tahu has really matured. He's the president now. He's got
exactly.
He's being the president really ages you.
Exactly. Iruni does throw one line at the other Toa Hog. So Qualis points out, if this guy can mind control us, then we need to take precautions, because Tahu could be here tomorrow assembling another team to come rescue us. We don't know what we're going into. So Iruni just says, what? So you'd rather sit back and do nothing? That didn't work out for you for last time, did it? Oof. And it's kind of referring to the time when they got mutated and became Rahaga. Because they're useless.
Fighting words.
Exactly. So Iruni's not holding back.
Iruni's being a bully.
Iruni really has been a bit of a dick this whole time.
Yeah.
They've been
consistent with how he is in all the other stories.
He's just an
to be honest,
ornery guy. He's just really
technically
ornery.
They've been wrangling animals for the last 1,000 years.
Yeah, he's really bored and angry.
Got a lot of pent up energy, and he just became a Toa again, and then he got hypnotized, so he couldn't do any Toa things.
He's really bored and angry.
But yeah, he does get shut down by Tahu a little bit, and then Tahu does have to convince the rest of the Toa that they should still go through with the mission.
Look, I know this is a really stupid idea, but just, do it, okay?
They're Toa, and the need of heroes is here. There is a quest where they must rescue these Toa Hog. It's the call to action. And as he says, there's no other Toa, but these guys are in need. And is it not the charge of all Toa to help those in need, no matter the consequences? He does convince. He gives a very passionate speech, rallying cry for them to.
As it turns out, they do appear to be immune to Goldie's mind control, but he has no way of knowing that.
Exactly. So he has to convince them, even though you don't know this yet, you should still go ahead and rescue these Toa.
Where wisdom and valor fail, faith something.
All that remains is faith.
I like how after this speech, and I think it's after this speech and they agree to everything, that Pook speaks up and says that maybe after we're done with this, Onawa will finally build those statues he promised us.
He tried, but then someone else interrupted him.
He kind of does. He kind of does.
What's the next part?
Yes.
So the final part of this chapter is Iruni makes a great joke. So he says, Tahu is like giving them this rallying cry, go forth into battle, in the name of the Toa, all that. And he's like, well,
Move
far be
along.
it from me.
To shrink
Far
away
be it
from a
me
challenge.
to shrink away from a challenge.
And everyone
Gaki
in the
goes,
room stares at him and is like, what the fuck?
how long have you waited to use that one? 600
400
years
years.
worth every second. That was one of the first lines I wrote for this story.
Were they?
That's the entire basis of the story.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's the best. It's the best. It's the best. You're the best. Oh my god, you're the best. Oh,
All right.
thank you so much.
Man.
Yes.
That's my contribution there.
What's
Right,
that?
we're now kind of at the halfway mark at chapter 6.
Well,
so-
that's good because we're an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's, if I could just preface chapter 6. So this chapter is very special because it was this was written at the kind of instruction of Greg. So we had a Zoom call with Greg Varsity, and we gave him the idea for these dream sequences where the Toa Mari are having conversations and therapy with the gold skin being. And we said, we're going to leave Jala for last because we know it's going to be big because he's a Toa of fire, but we don't know how big, and we don't really know what shape this is going to take. And just from that, he kind of gave us this play-by-play, like pretty immediately, of like how he would write that scene and how he would approach it. So he kind of described it to us. He kind of described a lot of the beats of this portion here. And within like 48 hours, I'd written this whole section. Someone had lit a fire underneath me. But a lot of this is Greg. A lot of this is what he would have done. So it's spiritually Greg's contribution to this story.
This is amazing.
I had completely
Interesting.
forgotten that Legacy Weapons was brought up in the discussions with Greg. It's been so long since we had our last meeting.
Yeah, it was.
That's so rad.
Was it a year ago? I think a bit more than a year ago, or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. Like I just gave him this this suggestion of the Toa Mari having therapy with the gold skin being, and saying we were kind of stuck with what to do for Jala, and like off the cuff, like really immediately, he had these ideas. But yeah, this was the Jala part of that, and I'm really happy with it. It does feel quite Gregian.
I love every word you just said. Every word of that. Greg came up with this part because you were having writer's block.
Yeah.
It's like,
I went to Greg. I was like, Greg, I can't finish this. Can you help? He was like, yeah, okay.
That's nice.
You just go into the calls like, I'm having some problems with ideas for this. Can you offer any advice? Bet?
Yeah.
it's like Myth and Legacy is like a real thing.
Even Greg
anyways.
was like, this story is taking too long. Let me do it for you.
Myth and Legacy is like a real thing. Writers writing stuff. Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah. I took so many notes in that call, but this is the Jala part. So Jala's vision. I don't know if anyone wants to like summarize it, but it's a special one. Okay. So for this one, Jala is at the end point in the pit. So it's sort of that final battle where Matanui has just died. And what happens here is he actually gives in to the goldskin being, and he actually utters his wish, which is he wishes it had been him instead of Mitoro. So what he finds is the Ignika just falls to his feet in the battle, and he realizes he has the opportunity to save his teammate and be the one to make the sacrifice. So he grabs the mask, he swims as far away as he can. He goes to the cavity in the bottom of the ocean, and he falls down the waterfall exactly as Mitoro did. And he realizes he's not going to land. Like it's impossibly huge, this cavern. It's bigger than Takoro, it's bigger than the pit, it's bigger than anything he's ever seen before. And he realizes he's not going to land safely. So he puts on the mask and he becomes willing to make the sacrifice. And at Greg's specific instruction, it does not work. Matanui stays dead. So he does everything right. It's exactly what he wanted. It was if only something different had happened, if only I'd been quicker, if only I'd been the one who was destined for this. He does everything that he's been thinking about all this time, all the different ways it could have played out, and it still fails all the same. And as the vision kind of crumbles, he sees behind the curtain a little bit, and he sees that the gold-skinned being is sapping the dream energy of a fulfilled wish. And there's these golden vapors flying in the air as he becomes he takes this as sustenance. And we realize at the end he takes on a bit of a different shade, and he tells Jala that this wasn't his destiny, and Mitoro was meant to die all along. The mask didn't choose you as its bearer, but this makes for a very nice wish. Thank you very much.
Yummy.
And then one final, yeah. But he says as well, days and days you Toa have run, and I have moved the scenery in pursuit of that which you desire most. But today, little one, you have finally given me what I've desired all along. In the end, Jala, you will always be that lost Matoran on the mountainside, crying out for someone else to show you where your destiny lies.
Yes, the cheesiest scene in Mask of Light.
I love that scene.
I don't know. I just thought that the line delivery for that scene was very corny.
I loved it. Well, to be fair, I think it was cheesy how Takua showed up, but I liked Jala's delivery of that line. I liked everything. I loved the climbing of the mountainside.
Liam's just a hater.
Yeah, hater, man. But yeah, I love this scene. Like I said, I wrote it in like 48 hours. Like within 2 days, this scene was written, and it just felt perfect.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is very good. I did not know how much involvement Greg had in that one.
So this
Well, now you know.
specific scene and another scene a bit later on, I asked him some more questions about the gold skin being and how that would work. And I also asked about the Toahag being immune to the gold skin being. But we'll get to that in a little bit. For now, Jala's not having a good time. And the way I picture it in my head is each of the Toamari have gotten to this point, and Jala's maybe the first to crumble, but they're each getting to this point, and the gold skin being is getting the energy off of them because this is the end point where they all get to.
Interesting.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're yummy.
Indeed.
I wish I had yummy dreams, but alas, my dreams taste bad. What happens next?
That's kind of the ultimate insult is the gold skin being telling you your dreams taste bad.
My dreams are probably crunchy.
Yeah. Flavor dreams do we have? Anyway, then what happens next is essentially the Toa and Aika commercial. So we have the Skagdi fortress with like chain link and fencing and searchlights.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was just like,
yeah,
move along.
Yeah, move along. Yeah, it's the Skagdi fortress. It's the Baraka stronghold. You know, it's evoking some of the same imagery. So we have some conversations here that take place with the Skagdi, like, oh, I broke my axe on a Toa. I figure they owe me a new one.
You've never even met
you're
a Toa.
Liar. Never seen a Toa.
They rumbled
while they're
him.
laughing. He's rumbled. He rustled his jimmies.
Rustled his jimmies.
Terrible. But while they're distracted, Bomonga slips past them.
Baked in dirt.
Bomonga, baked in dirt. Yeah, that's how he's been disguising himself this whole time.
He pulls a predator.
The Toahaga with some of the loudest metallic armor. Him and Gaki.
Yeah, but he is the Silent Knight, and he's well known for his stealth, apparently, as a Rahaga at least. So I figured I'd give him a little scene where he does some sneaking around. So he makes his way into the fortress. He walks slowly. He slides along the floor like a worm. Great stuff.
I quite like this section. Yeah.
Yeah, he's infiltrating the base, super sneaky like. And then he finds the generator, which is one of Nuparu's creations that's powering all these searchlights and some like additional like weaponry, that kind of thing. And he uses his Ratuka launcher. We actually don't know the Ratuka powers for the Toahag. So over the course of this story, I've been sprinkling in what they are. So Bomonga's power is a sort of impulse, like it's a pulse Ratuka. So it's like an EMP thing that can switch off electronic devices. And he uses it here to disrupt the generator and to take out the lights. So as we find out, it becomes obvious then that the Toa have arrived, and they assume their places. They start infiltrating the fortress together, and they do eventually reconvene with Bomonga. So there's a few.
But wait, one's missing.
Oh, not yet. So they have like a few discussions. So they just admire the architecture of this place, and they realize that the fact that this is built on a solid rock layer and it's so even, it's not the kind of construction you would think for Skakti. So they realize the Toamari have pretty much built this place. This is Matoran architecture. This is structurally sound.
It's not a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's not something the Skakti would make because they're a lazy good for nothing pile of snakes.
Yeah, it actually works. It holds up, right? So they kind of realize the Toamari are here and they're helping. It's actually real all of a sudden. So Norik gives them one more speech. He says, this mission isn't easy. That's why Tahu sent us. We're experienced Toa, and we need to rescue the Toamari because they're special to the Turaga, to the Toa Nuva. We need to bring our brothers and sister home. Puts forward his fist. They do like a joint circle of fists, and they realize there's only 5 fists. And lo and behold, Iruni has disappeared into the night. So Norik says, oh, for God's sake, I'm going to hurl that Kowalsi so deep into the ocean, even the Toamari won't be able to find it.
That's it. Iruni's off the team.
He just keeps screwing things up. He's so full of himself when he just keeps screwing things up. Come on.
Yep. Oh, yeah. He has one job, it's stay away from the gold skin being.
And what does he do?
Has a therapy session.
He has an instant therapy session.
Yeah. This Norik guy, okay.
I love especially that this whole scene can just be summarized as that one scene from Doctor Strange where he's just like tumbling through time and the universe. It's that, but in his head.
Oh, that. Yeah. That's a few chapters from now, but yeah.
It can also kind of be likened in that way to the scene with Gandalf and the Balrog. Just tumbling 1,000 years in his own mind.
Yeah. This whole story could be summarized with Norik saying Iruni no and Iruni saying Iruni yes.
That scene in SpongeBob where Squidward is thrown through a zipper.
Yeah. That was a direct inspiration, in fact.
Good.
But yeah, I'll say more about that when we get to that sequence, because that's, I think, chapter 8 where Iruni has that.
I'm just gonna post this in the server. This is just this. The dynamic between Norik and Iruni is just this.
Chip, put it up. Chip, put it up right now. Put it up. Chip, put it up right now.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh
Chip,
dear.
you need to put it up right now.
Yeah, so it's on the screen, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty accurate, to be fair. So yeah, that's chapter 6. They're in the fortress. It's taken 6 chapters, but they're finally here. And they're doing rescue things. And Iruni has gone and found a way to piss off Norik.
Yep, the fortress of Perakitude.
It is, yeah.
So that gets us to chapter 7.
They start fighting.
No, not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ages away.
Anyway, so at first Iruni is doing a good job of doing his own sneak solo mission, and then he isn't. Then he doesn't. He
immediately isn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it was all going well until it wasn't. But
it was all going well until it wasn't. And then it wasn't really big.
Yeah, he takes out some guards. They're like, hey, stop. He says no, and he just blasts them into next week. And he has his inner complex, and he just thinks to himself how unsatisfied he is, how he's been held back as a Rahaga, how he finally got a taste of being a Toa, and he was trapped in an illusion, only to wake up from that illusion and find out Makuta had taken over the universe. And even now, like, this is the first chance he's had at some action. He can actually do some heroics. He can just go off on his own. And he laments as well how earlier in chapter 3, when they face the Rahi Nui, Norik seems to want him to be held back, to be in reserve, to be at the back of the team with his healing Ratuka, and to just stand in reserve. He doesn't really trust him enough to lead the charge, to be the scout, to go out and do his own thing. And he considers here that his role is to be bait. Like, he is the scout. Like, he wants to be on the front line. He's been stifled. He's not had a chance to do this in centuries. And the first opportunity that has presented itself, he has just gone ahead, and he's just infiltrating the fortress. And that makes him happy to be able to finally live up to what he wants to do as a Toa.
Yeah.
But
that's
then
all
he
nice.
walks
That's
past,
all well and good. That's all well and good. But then huge slam of metal to the face.
Yeah, he walks past a door that was not a door. It was actually Nuparu's shield. Surprise.
Nuparu just walks around the corner. Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, with his stealth bomber mask. Yeah, so there's some great dialogue here where he tries to get through to Nuparu, but Nuparu has been smooth brain. To bring it back to a previous episode.
The Toamari's dialogue is just so hilarious because, like, half the time they sound coherent, like they actually say things that imply that they're aware of who they are and what's going on. But then other times, what they're saying makes no sense. We serve the golden skinned being, and we love him, and he's the best one ever. And also, we're the greatest heroes of all time, and we serve to protect the Matoran, and blah blah blah. But the Turok are evil, and we need to do that. Sound absolutely insane, and I relate to them so much.
It's kind of like what I was going for here was it's a cult, and the gold skinned being has convinced them that I am your leader. I am, like, the Turaga were no good for you.
I am
they
God.
didn't. Yeah.
Oh, yes, correct. Yes, me.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes. Hi. Yes. Hi. Yes.
I am God. Come on,
Yeah.
That's right.
A pretty good fight scene here between these two Toa. Like, Nuparu is, he has his big shield, pretty strength-based tactics, but Iruni tries to, like, leg sweep him, and he finds he can't because he's a Toa of Earth, and he's way too heavy set for that. So in the end, he just tries to escape. So he jumps through the ceiling through a hole that's been created by their fight, and he finds himself facing Holly. He's jumped right into the path of Toa Holly. And she says, I guess Makura never taught you to look before you leap. And he tries the same tactic that he used on Kina before. He says, don't you have Harakeke to hack? And she says, he says, nope, just you, and proceeds to slash at him with her proto-steel talons with such intensity and ferocity that he barely escapes with his life.
Are the proto-steel talons part of her hand, or are they something that attached to her that she can, like, remove?
I think in the animation it looked like they could move like fingers, but I don't know how.
I mean, so do Galli's hooks, but I'm pretty sure those are canonically separate.
Hooks, but I'm mainly asking, are they like Onua's claws?
Look. When Onua removed his Nuva armor, when Lewa removed his Nuva armor in that one Baraka book, that
was Onua.
Blew my mind. One of them, someone removed their Nuva armor at one point, and it just blew my mind. Yeah. And now nothing makes sense anymore. Who even cares? Nobody's armor or weapons are part of anything. There's like, you can take it. It's all Lego.
I mean, if you really want to get technical, the entire concept of hands is up for debate.
You can take your hand. You can take part in your whole body. Fuck it.
Like, I'm pretty sure canonically nobody has hands, and they just use magnets. I don't think that's true.
I disagree. I don't think that's true.
I heard something about magnets.
That. Well, I want an actual source on that.
How do they work?
I'll tell you what. I'm checking BS01 right now. It says the Protosteel Talons are Holly Mari's Protosteel Toa tools, and also parts of her hand.
So,
so they work like Onua's claws, then.
I think so. Yeah, like a bigger version of Anua's claws.
Yeah. As in, like,
yeah,
they're
so I
her
guess
actual hands, but they're also considered her tools because, because Onua's claws is listed as his tools, but they are his actual hands.
What about Pohatu's feet?
Well, those are shoes. Those are feet additions. Those are said to be things that attach to his feet.
I'm
Are they
picturing
like
Freddy
horseshoes
Krueger
or
here.
are they like horseshoes or toenails?
Like steel toe caps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she uses her finger blade things Freddy Krueger's his staff. So she does this decisive final blow where she slashes downwards and she splits his cyclone spear in half.
It is brutally described, actually.
Yeah,
it is brutal because
he's like, wait, what? I didn't even know you could break that. I didn't know that could be broken. That thing, I didn't know that thing could ever be broken. It is
exactly, yeah.
It's a special
kind
thing.
of unbreakable. Yeah, it's a Toahag spear. It's part of my set.
It's
now
like
I'm no longer in mint condition. How dare you?
It's like
now I'm missing pieces.
It's like you just took a thing that's unbreakable and you broke it. That's just how brutal Holly Mari is. She's a strong.
It's a good thing I can recreate that by just taking the spear out of his hand.
Exactly. Yeah, just disconnect the spear. But yeah, he got clumsy, and as well, he does pride himself as a Toahag. He prides himself on his weapons and his powers, and all of a sudden, he doesn't have a spear anymore. It's just been sliced in half. So he's not happy about this. So he decides to run away. So he drops his spear because it apparently doesn't mean much to him anymore. And he starts teleporting through the corridors of this fortress. And he actually teleports through a window. And he just falls a whole flight of stairs into a courtyard. But then he realizes Holly is behind him, and she's used her Faxon to quick travel after him.
Nothing personnel, kid.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he then realizes that
I already compared her to Wolverine because of her claws, but now that I'm thinking about it, oh yeah, she has animal powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
animal
what
powers.
She really is.
Like Vixen, I think.
She really is like Wolverine.
Yeah. Holly Vereen.
She's the best at what she does, and what she does isn't very nice.
She's like Wolverine, but like blue and with angel wings.
Yeah, so she tracks him down. The other Toa Mari appear, so they emerge from the shadows. And what I was doing here was I was describing their nebulous aquatic armor. It's very reminiscent of the Piraka in Island of Doom, the first chapter book, where they attack the Matoran with the Zamor spheres, and they suddenly realize that these Toa aren't actually Toa. They're Skakdi, they're snake-like, and they're villains. It's this turning point. Yeah, and it's similar here. Like they're emerging from the shadows. Like these are weird Toa in his mind, and he's seeing them just step out. So they take him captive. They grab him in a chokehold. They kick his feet apart. They hold him down, and then Jala says, "We've got a message for you. We don't want to be rescued," and shoves the hilt of his power sword into Iruni's mask, knocks him out cold, and also cracks the mask.
Rip.
Did he like burn him also?
They didn't burn him. No. Well, the sword wasn't switched on. It was just the hilt of the sword.
All right.
He basically pistol whipped him in the face.
Yeah, and it broke his mask.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, so it did not go so well for Iruni. Then we have the picture as well.
No way. No way. No.
Are we going to show this picture on the video version of the podcast?
Man, I haven't put things on the screen at any point in this episode, and I'm not, or in this season, and I'm not starting now. That's extra editing.
It's good, I would say.
I thought Chip was the one. I thought Chip was the one editing.
You were told.
Chip does the audio. I do the video.
What?
Well, I also do part of the audio, but still.
What?
I think you should make an exception and add this one.
I don't know anything.
Well, we may be using that as the thumbnail, so
okay, well,
or a version of it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've spent this long talking about it. You might as well.
So anyway, the Toahaga are like ranting about how Iruni is stupid dumbass.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, every other chapter, but what happens next is chapter 8. So this is Iruni's therapy. So
yeah.
No, I thought the next scene. I thought that was okay. I guess so.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
chapter 8
I
comes
remember.
up.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, you are the author. Why am I questioning you? So
I've got the receipts right here. I've got the scrap paper notes.
no, man, you are the receipts. Fuck.
I am the receipts.
You are
I'll
the
take that.
receipts. I love
I
you.
am the Senate.
All right.
I love
Speak.
you.
Speak, author.
Okay, so what happens in chapter 8 is each of these chapters has started off with when blank opened their eyes, they saw a Coley Stadium, the pit, shovel hands. In this case, we have Iruni opens his eyes and he saw, wait, where was he? What was this place? Why did his face hurt? So we immediately get a sense that the vision isn't working as intended. And as he looks around, he sees like lots of memories, lots of like a whole of mirrors of different memories and snapshots of his past, where he's come from. He feels an ache and a crack in his mask on his forehead, but he realizes he's in this sort of between world, this memory and consciousness. These details are blurry, and it's like the ghost of a place he has only half recalled. And then the golden skin being appears to him. And he says, now show yourself, and on behalf of everyone already wearing gold armor, find yourself another color. So he's taking shots at the gold being already. So we get a sense that he's not like got the same subservience and love for the gold being that the Toa Mari does. Something's different here. The vision isn't sticking. He's not treating him with respect. He's interrupting him, as we see a bit later on.
Yeah, he's not used to that. I like that detail.
I just love the visuals here. I'm imagining just like it's trippy as heck.
Yeah, it's incredibly trippy. And this was another thing I asked Greg about. I said, I suggested this idea that the Toa Hag are actually immune to the gold skin being because of Trenkrom. And even though Trenkrom is dead, he left this sort of lingering psychic shield on them that makes them immune or resistant, at least, to being charmed in the same way. So they have resistance to being charmed. So it's D&D. Basically, they have this mental shielding that means that the vision wouldn't stick. So I asked Greg, what would this do? Like, how would the scene like that play out? And he described this sort of he said that the vision just wouldn't stick, and we'd have like a couple of like fragmented memories like this, and what the goldskin being would do instead was slap a blank canvas at him and allow Iruni to fill in the blanks himself. So we see a lot of visions that just don't stick until a point where the gold being asks Iruni, do you know what I want most? And he's like, is it destiny? He's like, no, it's dreams, you fool. And he creates this chaos spiral of a nightmare. So he hits Iruni with a mirror, basically, like a blank canvas. And he just allows Iruni to project what he thinks would be there. And it turns out to be this nightmarish chaos spiral of web of shadows proportions of mutated Rahaga, like his teammates caught midway in the transformation with limbs like snapped the wrong way and ghoulish faces that look like Rakshi. And he's just confronted with this nightmare of failure, and he's like the screams of the damned are heard below. And I think a lot of what we were saying earlier about like Doctor Strange falling through the spiral, like the multiverse, a couple of BC's comics, in fact. I think he recently did a comic about Toa Ord, where he falls through like a dreamscape hell dimension. It's sort of what we're seeing here, only flavored a little more like Web of Shadows. But yeah, Iruni, he makes 3 wishes. So immediately he gives the goldskin being more than the Toa Mari did. So originally he says he wants the Toa Mari to be freed. That's the reason he came here. Goldskin being goes, great, that's nice, I can do that. What else? What more? What delicious things are lurking within your soul? He says, I wish someone who eats dreams for breakfast would come knocking on your door.
Oh, hey, I know that person.
Oh, fuck.
And
Well, that
then
explains
he says,
why that happened out of nowhere. You know,
Yep.
that explains why that happened out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then eventually he does relent. Like the gold skin being does get to him, and he thinks about his team, and he thinks about how he's been rude to everyone. He's been rude to Gaki. He's like not really paid attention to her visions. He's treated Bomonga like he doesn't care. And Norik especially, there's like 3-4 paragraphs dedicated to Norik and his relationship with Norik. But ultimately he feels like he is a bargaining token in another Tower of Fire's delusions of grandeur. And at this very final point, he says, I wish I didn't have to be a Toahag anymore.
I expected him to immediately become like a Turaga, apparently, but that didn't happen, surprisingly.
Oh, no, that's not the same thing. Like, he wants to do more as a Toa, so it wasn't the same as I wish I was a Turaga. It's, I wish I didn't have to be a Toahag anymore.
Goldie is fascinating because like he is like a different take on Dick genies in fiction.
He's basically Calypso.
Yeah,
it's like a genie, like any other genie in fiction. If a Toa said, "I wish I didn't have to be this anymore," they would be like, okay, I wish I grant your fucking wish, you idiot, and then bam, then you'd be a Turaga. But this guy's like, okay, well, the obvious solution would be I turn you into Turaga, but I'm going to give you something creative instead.
It's not necessarily that he wanted to be a Turaga, it was that he didn't have to be a Toahag anymore.
Exactly.
So not even that he doesn't have to be a Toa anymore. It's that he doesn't have to be a Toahag anymore.
What I'm saying is that genies in fiction are always manipulative and will give you an exact word corruption of what you wish for. Like you wish for a sandwich, but they'll give you an evil sandwich.
Yeah.
Shout out to the old school days of Beezy Power and the corrupted wish game topics.
Huh? Oh right, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like if a Toa,
I understand.
Sorry, my brain's stopped working. So just
what your brain started working today?
No, it didn't. Just moving on. Yeah, so the Toahaga don't like Iruni anymore.
Well, they find out about the vision is what happens next, and Iruni says immediately, "That's it." Norik says Iruni is off the team for good this time. Like he's crossed a line here. So they find out that Gaki has had a vision. She kind of explains to them that her vision was Iruni is not going to be among our number at some point in the future, and they think this is pretty crucial. Norik especially is not happy this was withheld from them. And Paux actually steps up to back Gaki, which is a bit of an unexpected turn, considering he doesn't really believe in her visions. But they also get discovered, so the Skaki find them, and they have to defend themselves. They end up bringing down the roof of the fortress, burying the Skaki, and continuing on their way. And they get a greater sense of urgency that they have to, find the Toa, get out of there, because the risk of being found or worse is now mounting. So they have to move on, which then leads us into the next part, the direct tie-in with Salmad's Tale, where let me tell you, the Skakdi were amazing to write for this story. They were so much fun. But these sentries, they see something red glowing on the horizon. Something emerges from the water, red and full of tendrils, and as soon as it makes landfall, they're all hit with visions. They're hit with headaches and nightmares, and they see an army of undead shadow Toa approaching.
Yo, headaches, nightmares, and undead, and the undead. It's just like me for real.
Yeah. But yeah, one of them says, "I hate this planet," which is just a fun little line. Oh, how could this happen to me?
How could this happen to me?
Poor Skakdi. And yeah, it says Anona had a ride, so Rooney's second wish has just come true. Someone who eats dreams for breakfast has just shown up. And then after that, we move back to the Toahag. They notice that the Skakti are kind of being gripped by these nightmares. There's this crimson haze everywhere. What's that about? But they also, Omonga senses something seismic is approaching, and then instant later, Gaki gets another helpful vision of Devourer of Dreams approaching. So
Great.
a little bit of like foreshadowing of what else is going on here.
5-second foreshadowing.
Yeah, 5 seconds. Really useful mask power. And they joke that perhaps Bomonga should have the mask of foreshadowing instead. But as they venture out into the courtyard, they are attacked by the Toamari, who hear from the shadows, and they throw down the 2 broken pieces of Iruni's cyclone spear like a glove, you know. And it dawns on them that Iruni is down, his spear is broken, and these Toa are challenging them. And they ask, so where does this go from here? Nowhere good.
Apparently to one of the most brutal fights since 2006.
Yeah.
Good job, by the way. Holy crap.
Thank you. This fight scene is my magnum opus. I'm so proud of it. But
it's amazing.
It comes from Dwellers in Darkness. I found that fight scene, this sort of build up to the Toahag versus the Toamari that we had to wait a whole week for, and then it was over like that. It was a very long and dynamic fight. Amazing. We had so I tried to take special lengths to find creative combinations here to make a much more fulfilling second round to this fight, which they never saw the end of. But yeah. Chapter 9, Chapter 10, they're pretty much, I think, the whole fight scene that just spans 2 chapters.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's really good.
It's like a Dragon Ball episode.
It is, yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. Do we have anything we want to say before we jump into the fight scene?
I like the story.
I like it.
I enjoy it.
I like it.
I like the whole drama with Iruni. It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
I like it when the funny green guy gets the shit kicked out of him.
Oh, so you like every chapter. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, how does the fight go, friend?
Not well. For the brutal. So what we find is it's 5v5. So unlike the previous fight that was 6v5, each Toa splinters off into their own personal fight. So we have Bomonga versus Jala. We have Norik versus Hali, Kuelis versus Kongu, Huki versus Gaki, and Nuparu versus Paux. So they're each fighting a different element Toa, and they have a lot of pent up frustration. And we find Kuelis can't land the Ratuka, and this is he landed one on the Rahi Nui, but it was immune. I think he missed a shot at an earlier point, and at this point he tries to land a stasis Ratuka on Kongu, but it's batted aside by Nuparu, annoyingly. So he's still, after 3 attempts, he still hasn't been able to use his power. And we start to see some injuries getting inflicted in this chapter. I think someone says the Rahaga are around for round 2, so it's another kind of slight towards them. And we see some orders being given. So they're throwing, there's a lot of focus on Kuelis in this fight, because the Toamari identify he's the weakest fighter. So a lot of them are targeting him.
Strategy.
A lot of strategy.
Kick down the weak kid. Bully the weak kid. He talks to birds, the dork.
Yeah, that's another line as well. So there's a little bit of like a discussion between, like a fighting words between Kuelis and Kongu. So Kongu says, "You're afraid to shout call on the Rahi after last time. I wonder what creatures will answer if he'd call them instead." So aside from the shoot speak, it's referring to their previous fight, where the fight ended because Kuelis lost control of his mask and summoned a massive Rahi, but they had to all go and stop. So he's just, evoking that last time didn't go so well for you, huh? To which Kuelis says, keep babbling that shoot speak and you'll be lucky to get a reply. To which Kongu says, "This is coming from the Toa who chirp talk to birds." Thanks. Yeah. Another line I'm really proud of here is Baki versus Huki. And Huki saying, when I'm through with you, I'll have another copper mask from my collection. Which is a reference to Gaki's copper armor. That line was in... I added that really late. It was one of the last things I added to the whole story, like within the past month.
You're like, oh, Gaki has copper colored armor. Let's throw that in there.
That's a good last minute detail because I wouldn't have thought of that because I didn't remember.
Yeah, copper Gaki. So yeah, she uses her Ratuka, which the dodge Ratuka. So all of the Ratuka powers I thought of are related to Rakshi powers, and I ran this by Greg in another call, and he seemed pretty didn't have too many ideas about it, so I figured that's good enough. So I went with dodge for Gaki, which means that
tickled pink by the idea of using the dodge Ratuka on the accuracy man.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, he's in a really bad place. He's like, oh no, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, she apologizes to him like, I'm sorry to do this to you, Huki.
This is not fair, but I have to.
I have a question for you.
This is the literally most embarrassing thing I can do to you. You value accuracy above all else. But damn it.
I have a question for you, Mr. Bob. What happened to Kongu's melee weapon?
Kongu's melee weapon was abandoned in the pit. So he got
a new one though, didn't
originally.
For this mission.
Never described. That's
true. I know it was never described. But I know he had a weapon that was, and it was told to us somewhere it was a melee weapon.
Wait,
so what happened to it?
When did Kongu have a melee weapon?
So this, I don't think it was a melee. I think it was just described as a new weapon that was given to him. I don't think we had enough details.
I need to double check. I remember his new one. Being a melee weapon.
I asked this in the server, because this gave me so many headaches of not knowing enough to describe the weapon.
Yeah.
Because he has to use it in this fight. And I pitched a few times, should it be like a sword? Is it like a hammer? Like, what kind of weapon? And I think it was agreed that it should be a ranged weapon of some kind, because that suits his skill set more. He has the crossbow as a Dainaika, he has the discs as a Matoran, he has the 2 Kordak blasters.
See, I like the disc launcher choice. It's just I also specifically remember him. Oh, okay, no, it says weapon. Okay, it looks like it didn't specify what type of weapon. Okay, all good.
Yeah,
I miss him having two. I miss him having 2 of something.
Yeah. Well, my hope is he gets back at the end of the story. He gets his old Kordak blasters back. Maybe keeps the disc launcher. I'm not really sure. But yeah,
I want him to just be a walking
blasters.
Armory and carry a whole bunch of weapons. That would be funny.
I could see him with the 2 Kordak blasters, and then having the Kanoka disc launcher shoulder mounted like Kreka or Nuparu used to.
Yeah, Nuparu got the Mask of Flight. He gets the shoulder mounted disc launcher. That's fair. Fair trade off. But yeah, so the kind of the turning point of this battle here is Huki going, oh no, what am I going to do? I can't hit you. Then Gaki just starts floating away.
Oh no, Mask of Gravity happening.
Gravity switching off is actually a fear of mine. I'm legitimately afraid of that happening when I'm out in open spaces. So this is a little in joke for me.
There's a chance that can happen.
I've seen balloons go up.
But you're not made of helium, dude.
Well, I project
not
myself
with that
onto
attitude.
What a funny fear to have. Well, it's a good thing it'll never come to pass.
Hey, what if you woke up on a planet with inverted gravity?
That would suck.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Hopefully, it's not something I ever have to worry about until I encounter Hukimari.
Yeah.
Or I ascend to godhood and decide to pull a funny prank. That would be incredibly irresponsible. That would be incredibly irresponsible of me. I don't think I would ever do that.
This first part is sort of the rising action. So we're getting a sense of who is squaring off against who. We're getting a sense of some injuries starting to be inflicted, and it's a more serious one-on-one battle. And this is kind of where we're leaving off. We have Norik is suddenly very defensive of Iruni, even though he was just saying he's off the team. He's now going to protect his baby brother. And
It's
we get a
all
sense
fun and
that
games until someone gets flung into the sky.
I can say whatever I want about Iruni, but if you step up to him, that's not happening. No. Only I get to mistreat Iruni.
I was just about to say that. We're on the same wavelength.
We got 40 minutes left, so let's get through this battle
let's
quick.
jump through them. Okay, so we jump back to Iruni for the next part. So Iruni, I consider having him have a Nova Blast here. But he doesn't. He uses all of his elemental energy and he just pushes the Goldskin being away. He's granted all 3 wishes. And while he's away, the Goldskin being senses the presence of another. So he's very aware that there is a Toa right here who has such even more than the Toa Mari, he has this crucible of emotions in his head that he could feed off of. But he senses a Nona. He senses this bigger prize somewhere else. So he does the needful. He grants that next wish and he releases the Toa Mari from their hold, and then he goes off to face Anona and right into Samad's Tale, which takes us then into chapter 10, which is the second half of this battle. So this entire chapter is just dedicated to their fight scene. So we see that the Toa Mari really have the upper hand here, and as Norik notes in the chapter, they're not afraid to fight dirty. They're using the tactics of the Baraka, of the Baraki. They're separating the Toa because they recognize that their strength comes from their unity, and if they can square them off into 1v1 matches, they will have an advantage there. We see some injuries getting inflicted. We see a lot of great lines. One particular line I really enjoy is Huki and Holly. So Holly turns to Huki and he goes, "Try your new move." She goes, "Oh, of course, it's what the audience came for." And he throws her into the air.
The movie!
Yeah, so they're still themselves. They were both at that match.
They're still themselves. They're just crazy.
Yeah. We see another great moment where Hongu and Nuparu square off against Guela. So they both recognize he's the weaker player and they both move into him. And without stepping forward to defend his brother, with this great moment of, you want him, you got to go through me. And then they just go, "Yeah, don't mind if we do." Okay. And they just steamroll him, very nearly knocking him down. Gaki sustains some injuries. Bomonga is trapped behind some molten rock pillars from Jala. But we have this crucial moment here where Jala gives another command, and he tells Nuparu, focus on Koelas. Holly, help me take down Bomonga. Huki, find Norik. Matoro, cover... Oh. He realizes Matoro is not actually here. He's just given a command to Matoro, and for a moment he forgot. In the rage of this battle, he forgot that Matoro is dead. And this is the first moment in the entire story where Matoro is named.
Yes.
Yeah, I found this quite a powerful moment.
You are such a good writer. Holy crap.
Thank you. And then, promptly draws him down because he kind of hesitates in that moment. Nuparu and Bomonga team up to just knock him unconscious.
Epic PTSD moment.
Epic PTSD moment. And then we find something snaps inside Gaki, and she gets mad. So she has this line about swimming with sharks with Holly.
Toa water can get so brutal. Holy crap!
Yeah.
So she raises some Vader moment.
She does. Gaki Vader. So she raises some water pillars, which Koalas freezes, and then recalling one of the comics where Nutu used a mirror of ice as a reflective barrier to strike a Viscerac. Koalas uses the pillars of ice to fire a Ratuka and to rebound. Very nearly hits Holly, but finally hits Nuparu, and Nuparu is stuck in a stasis. So the fourth attempt, he actually gets a hit in. He's very proud of himself. So we see a lot of the Toa Hog fall in succession. We see Niparu go down, Jala goes down, Hongu fires off a disc, a reconstituted random disc, which accidentally hits Huki. Huki's hand erupts into vine tendrils, which is a reference to his set not having hands.
That's funny.
And then, he gets knocked down by Gorilla steps up to take Kongu down. And he has a great line about enjoying, he hasn't wanted to hit anyone that hard since Sidorak. Stop, he's already dead, leave him alone.
The memes!
Absolute brutality. And then, they're left with two Toa standing, so Huki and Holly. And they realize there's five of their Toa Hog. They've kind of won, but these guys will not back down. So they try reason, but Monga specifically tries reasoning with them both. And he rations with Holly that they both wear the same mask. They both wear masks in the shape of saxons to honor past heroes, and that they should honor the legacy of heroes past. And as the other Toa Mari return to consciousness, as they wake up, they start reasoning with the others. Jala tries to break Holly out of her trance. And the others, they try working on Huki, who's sort of the last Toa standing, still under the thrall of the gold-skinned being. They say, think of Matoro, think of what he would want. And Kongu's like, oh, enough of that. That's never going to work. Think of Maku. Immediately out of it. Immediately breaks the trance. Because that Maku hasn't been mentioned really here either. I think she appeared very briefly in
the first time
match.
Maku is named in the story.
She was in Rain of Shadows, The Untold Stories, too, for a little while.
Yeah, but that's not this story.
True. She was in actual Rain of Shadows at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't mean first time she's been named in a story. I mean this, like first time she's been mentioned in Legacy Weapons.
This chapter was first time Matoro was named. This is the first time that Maku was named.
It pulls out these two names and they hit like bricks.
Right.
Yeah, because they haven't really thought about these guys. It's this element that breaks them out. Like Iruni mentioned Turaga Wenua in the Paro. That doesn't really strike home in the same way that Maku strikes for Huki. And then they're all out of the trance now. They realize how wounded they all are, and they realize they have to go save Iruni because they've as Jala says, he has shepherded another Toa to his demise, and he now realizes they have to go save this Toa of Air. And as they leave, there's a great little exchange between Kongu and Koalas. Koalas says, you should have used your mask power. Summoning a Rahi could have surely evened the odds, no matter how monstrous. And Kongu says, who says I didn't? I mean, you turned up, didn't you?
You joker.
Right. Yeah, that's the epic battle, the big fight scene. So they're now finally there. Any thoughts on that chapter?
I really like it. You're such a good
reminded
writer.
me quite a bit of the fight with the Shadow Toa in the book, specifically.
Okay.
I like it.
In like the first book, do you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they do swap in that way. I think they resolve that by swapping opponents, don't they?
Yeah, I think it was just more the tone of it. That's what it reminded me of.
Okay. I haven't read that.
I have to agree with you, Liam. I see that as well.
Speaking of moving along,
time to homage a bunch of toy commercials.
Yeah, chapter 11 is Iruni's chapter. So he starts off by saying, I could have wished for other things, like a moto sled or an army of Brakas or the XLRT9. Why did I have to go and wish to not be a Toa Hog anymore? That was stupid. Feels like that was baked into the plot for narrative reasons, but whatever. He goes through the fortress. He finds a lot of the visions and the nightmares that Anona has incarnated have come to life. These are the dreams of the Stakti that were mentioned earlier, that were undesirable to the gold-skinned being. They're now manifest and they're tearing the fortress apart. And as he does, he is cornered by some Skakti, who were, again, very fun to write for. They point out there is a Toa there. cut him into pieces, kill his ass. They're
Yeah,
very
first
gruff.
That was
mentioned ass in
unexpected.
Bionicle.
Ass in
I was just like,
Bionicle.
whoa.
First ass, not the first duty.
I love who
Yeah.
cares. Bash his gears out.
Yeah. I was really inspired by a lot of the Paraka's lines where, they were very creative ways of killing Toa. Bash his gears out, I'm very proud of. Shove that
Kick his
field where
ball
Marinumi
joints.
doesn't shine.
Kill his ass!
Take his pistons. But yeah, again, we see Iruni's mask doesn't work. So I think he uses it one final time, and it's like in a cloud of smoke, he just moves 5 feet to the left, and no more. It's not working anymore.
I want to
so
imagine it makes a fart noise.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a fart noise. Cannon.
Some on-the-fly editing there.
Yeah, I'll just add this here. The Skakti dog pile onto him. They start kicking him just because they can. And in this moment, he finally says, "I'm sorry, brother," out loud to Iruni. He closes his eyes. He accepts the end. And then, Move Along starts playing. And the walls of the fortress are blasted aside, and the heroes arrive. So the rest of the Toa here to save him. And this is Gaki's vision fulfilled. So this is the Toa Hog standing tall with their spears and the 5 Toa Mari at their side. So subjectively, it is them wearing Iruni's armor because they have taken his place in the lineup. He's not a Toa Hog anymore. They are standing alongside the Toa Hog. They have taken his place in the legend. But that's not the only interpretation of this, and there is a more valid interpretation in the epilogue. But yeah, this is the vision fulfilled. This is everything she predicted would come to pass. He is there with a broken mask, a broken spear. His armor is all damaged. He's not standing among them because of his choices. And we have this great moment where Jala turns to Norik, says, "May I?" Norik says, "Of course, this is your moment." And Jala raises his sword high and shouts, "Toa together." And I wish I could get Andrew Francis to voice that line, if only for those 2 words.
Assemble.
Actually, Titans together. I feel like the Teen Titans are a better match for the Toa Mari than
Titans, go.
What's the next part?
Well, a few things happen here. So the Toa are now working in unison. Outs and Niparu, they repeat the move that was used earlier, and Pinox flings Niparu into some Skakti. Niparu uses his shield to enter them, and as he does, he says, "Oops, it's like I crashed into you."
Yeah.
Guess I shot you.
I didn't really quite make too much sense of that line. It didn't, in context, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It just feels like he's stating the fact of something that happened.
He crashed into them. I think you're overthinking that, honestly.
It's a song.
I guess.
They referenced the song. Get over it.
Yeah, don't think too much about that. He crashed into them with his shield. That's kind of where the meaning ends.
Now they're up in flames.
Now they're up in flames, exactly.
Could have been the death of them, but anyway.
Norik
we're referencing a bunch of toy commercials.
Yeah, and then we're short for time. One final thing that happens here is Kongu and Kuelis use their mask powers together. They've used them separately in the past, but they use them together, and it conjures a swirling, tempestuous mass of sea creatures from the ocean, and it turns out to be the Hana crabs.
Every single Hana crab in the ocean.
Well,
And
Josie,
all of the crabs.
you were insisting a few episodes ago that the crabs return, so there you go.
Every single Hana crab in the ocean.
You want crabs? Here, you get all the crabs.
Every single
Notably,
one.
one of these crabs is Jala's crab, and it does return to his side here. So he is reunited with his Hana crab that he left in the
He doesn't release it into the ocean because it wants to just stick with him. It wants to just live with him forever now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the story, he introduces it to Buku.
Yeah, there's a nice part at the end here. So this story is pretty concerns itself with the legacy of the Toa Hog and what their purpose is. But here, Jala just asks Gaki, what is the collective term for a group of Hanma? And she's like, oh, well, there never was a term. So he asks her, what would you say it was? And she considers no one has ever asked her this before. She's just been the bodyguard in the chamber.
Huda didn't think the Hyena crabs were ever significant enough to have a collective noun, so she comes up
We have less than half an hour. Let's
we're right at the end. We're doing okay.
Okay, it's a
the crucial detail of the naming of the plurality of
Hyena crabs.
It is crucial though, because this is Gaki getting to live up to the reputation as a Rocky creator. So she is the only person in the universe who can give a term to these crabs, and that's fulfilling something in chapter 4 as well, from much earlier in the story.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on to the end here. So we get a little glimpse of the gold skin getting put in his place, and it's reusing a line that Anona does actually say in Salmad's Tale, but shorter. And then we'll just jump into chapter 12. So this is the last full chapter. So we're pretty okay for time. But this is a pretty big celebration the next day. So the Toa Nuva, the Toa Hog, the Toa Mari, they're all assembled. Not the Toa Nuva, sorry, just the Turaga. They're assembled around an amphitheater somewhere on Spheris Magna in the ruins of an old Agori village. Their base camp in there. Yeah, Turaga Vakama ascends the stage, and the Toa Mari, they stand in a line, and they do that thing from Mask of Light where the Toa Nuva raise their arms in a line, and Pongu has an extra arm out at the end for Matoro. He has 2 hands, exactly. And Vakama launches into a riveting tale, like the legend of the Toa Mari, which he has never gotten to tell. So he speaks of the chronicles of the Toa Nuva, the adventures of heroes in time past, and now the legends that have rise from the Matoran. So that's the names of all the series of chapter books, and relating them to the 3 virtues. He speaks of their perilous quest and the vision that he had so many centuries ago in Time Trap. And the journey they've gone to, he relates them to Lee the Lava Surfer incarnate. And at the end of the ceremony, they honor Matoro. And by doing that, they unveil a statue that Onua has crafted of Matoro, which has his original mask placed in the pedestal at the bottom. So Matoro's blue otaku is there.
And that was what Norik was fucking around in Karzani looking for.
It was. And not just Matoro's mask, the other 4 masks belonging to Pali, Nuparu, Huki, and Kongu as well. So I like to think he was doing like his own little quest for the masks, just dealing with some stuff to get for them.
I cried when I read this chapter. It was so cute. Like, oh my god.
Oh, I'm so glad. I wrote this in a McDonald's.
This is adorable. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then finally, like with greater emphasis, he presents Li Khan's how to Jala. And as well, because the Toa Hog are in attendance, they kind of note that Jala now has a mask of his own in honor of heroes past. So in the same way that they have their masks to honor ancient heroes, he has a mask to honor Li Khan in some way. So it kind of deputizes them as Toa Hog in a way. Like they each have this secondary mask in honor of themselves, in honor of
that's Gaki's vision.
Yeah. But also, there's also a moment where Nuju steps forward and Nuju says a few words. And I felt it was very important to have some actual bird speak, because it's always described as he spoke and he clicked and he clanged. But I actually had some dialogue written as bird speak here, which Raylus interprets for everyone, saying that even though Matoro is not among them, he will always be part of their flock and looking out for them from above. They'll never fly alone. And then they all go into their own little conversations, and there's a lot of very cute moments here. So Nuparu is going to fix Iruni's spear. Huki is reunited with Maku. Raylus and Nuju
she puts
talk in the language of the birds.
She puts flowers on his mask.
Yeah.
I want to imagine that he's gonna just give her his Bakari. I mean, not his Kakama. Sorry,
It's his man.
But he's he's probably just gonna let her have it.
Good, yeah. But yeah, a lot of cute stuff happens here. One thing I'm very happy about is Jala gets to introduce his Hana crab to Puku. Puku is here.
Yeah.
Puku is in attendance. And Paux and Bomonga finally agree that this carving of Matoro can count as the field of sculptures Oniwa promised them so long ago. This story, relevance, and growing pains have all referenced these statues as the sort of unfulfilled element of the story. So this is me saying, finally done, finally achieved. We can stop talking about these statues.
Now we never have to talk about this statue again.
Exactly.
Except it is a nice thing.
Yeah, and then we finally get a conversation with Iruni and Norik. The celebration dies down enough for them to communicate a little, and the Toahag gather. And Norik explains that he's always held Iruni back a little bit because he's been overly cautious because he sees a lot of an old teammate in Iruni.
She was psionics friend of mine.
Yeah, who we had to mention before the end of the story.
I don't know what happened to her. She just went off on a thing, and
yeah,
I don't know.
She was swift but daring, valiant but impulsive, cunning but reckless. Yeah, so because he never found out what happened to her, he's wanted to sort of mollycoddle Iruni and hold him back a little. Which is just him explaining a little, but he finds as well Iruni has his own strengths and he wishes him the best in his new path. And together, the Toahag give him a farewell, and they present
him with a new mask.
This Kowalsi is shaped like a Kowalsi.
He's only ever worn a Kowalsi, and I find that's funny.
Apparently, it is the first mask that Fakama has made in what is it, 1,000 years?
Yeah, I love that. It wasn't necessary to add that Vakama made it, but it just added so much to the meaning of the scene.
Exactly. I like to think as well, they told him, like, they got back from this fortress. They were like, right, we need this within a few hours. It's to say goodbye to Iruni. And he was like, say no more.
Yeah.
I want to say goodbye to him too. But yeah, it really... And as well, it's a green Kowalsi, so it means if someone does want to build a post-legacy weapons Iruni, they can with existing parts.
Yeah.
You just need to find a new chest armor piece.
I'm sure it exists.
Easily done. But yeah, that's Iruni gone. He's no longer a member of their team. He's going to go his own separate way, and as Pamonga says, he's chasing the wind. So he he has this freedom now.
Something Night of the Wind starts playing.
Yeah.
Epilogue!
Yeah, so what is the epilogue about, friend?
Finally, the epilogue. So we return
Finally, Norik is gonna examine that rectangle he's been so fascinated with.
Yeah. So the final wish that Iruni made was, I wish I didn't have to be a Toahag anymore. And we've seen this satisfied in a few ways. Iruni is physically not wearing the hog armor anymore. The place in the legend in that scene was taken, but there's still a gap in their team. There's still... Baki's vision was that there would be another Toa standing among them wearing his armor. So that's still unsatisfied. So as this wish kind of drifts through the valleys of Spherus Magna, it finds purchase in this sea of scrap and the salvage that was pulled from the Matoran universe, specifically to the rectangular shape that Norik was looking at earlier, which, as it turns out, is a canister. It's a stasis tube. And it malfunctions in the dead of night. And it opens up and a figure emerges. A figure in azure armor, which was the term used to describe a certain Toa in No One Gets Left Behind. And she's not specifically named. Varian lives.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. So the idea is that Varian is now like one camp away from where they are, is awake, and could take on the role of the
No
sixth
one
Toa
gets
Hog.
left behind.
Yep,
Great.
Oh my god!
that's
I
it.
love
That's
it. I
legacy
love
weapons.
It. I love it. I love
Good job.
it. Also, we didn't mention it's called legacy weapons because that's what Tahu called them.
Yeah,
Oh,
there was a title drop.
Yeah.
They said the thing.
All right.
We did say the thing, and Tahu
Anyway,
specifically
so that
said
was
the
the
thing.
book. I loved it, and I'm sorry I ruined this episode, guys.
As far as like final stories to read for a season of this show goes, I don't think we could have picked a better one.
No.
So
I'm
good.
glad to hear it. It
Like-
has such a rounded ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like I swear to God, this book could go right on the shelf with the other books.
Oh, I'm glad
You
to
did
hear
Yeah.
such a good job, Bobby Book Man, Dr. Book,
Thanks, Josie.
Dr. Books. Good job.
Dr.
At
Pook.
some point, it would be really nice to try and build off of those covers that Wynn made for Biological Chronicle and do something similar for Myths and Legacy.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not familiar with those ones, but sure.
Yeah, just something to do physical prints with, essentially.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, the idea is always like somewhere down the line to get these printed and bound, but
Mhm.
we haven't found means to do that yet.
And
Well,
plus,
I would say
we gotta
to
finish them
talk-
first.
Talk to Taraganuva because she's already doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, yeah.
Heck
Good.
yeah.
Thank you for writing this,
This is so
friends.
good. This was so good.
It's been
Yeah.
wonderful.
I had a good time with it.
This took 7 years to write. I finished uni, and this was the idea that was kicking around in my brain, and I decided I'm going to write this over the course of 7 years on scraps of paper on my day job, getting home, typing them up, finding a minute wherever I could. And I'm so happy that it's turned out the way that it did, that I was able to even get Greg Farsty to advise on it. And that it's finally reached a satisfying conclusion for the Toa Hog and the Toa Mari.
It's an
Yes.
incredible accomplishment.
And
for sure.
Tovarian and like so much, and like you tied in Anona, like
Yeah,
And,
it
like-
ties up a lot of loose ends in a
Yeah.
very
Like-
satisfying way.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on it, like personal thoughts, before we end off the episode?
I thought it was just a really nice exploration of the psyches of a lot of these characters. It rounds off their stories really nicely.
Yeah.
is good.
I
Good
love the
book.
Toa Haga, so I was happy to get some
Yeah.
good content with them.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I've always loved them because we never had visuals for them. There's no sets or anything. So they were sort of this imagined Toa team. But yeah, I'm so
happy we have
to
visuals for
actually
them
give
now.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They were
Yeah.
missing.
Well-
To me, they're like one of the. They're sort of like a missing canister wave. Well, two of them got
Exactly.
canister sets, but to me that adds to the feeling of them feeling like a missing canister wave because some of them did get sets.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
And-
think they were the first, like those 4 missing Toa Hog sets were the first like non-physical characters in a way. Like we had like their Haga forms, but we didn't have their Toa forms, and that unlocked within my child head a sort of mystery. It was like, we need to achieve this. We need to find them.
For me, they're like on the same level as like main Toa teams, like the Mari and like the Nuva and the
You know,
Metru.
I'm ashamed to admit this, but I literally just now realized that Rahaga is just a portmanteau of Rakshi and Haga.
Yes.
How
Good job.
how on earth are you so significant to the
I
bionicle
knew
community?
that the Rakshi part was a thing, but for some reason that the Haga bit never clicked.
How on earth are you this stupid and yet this important?
I thought it was like a combination of Rakshi and Taraga.
My God.
I suppose that makes sense.
It can be both. There's more than one way it
Yeah.
references things. But anyway,
a thing can be two things, but like
True.
you're an idiot.
So before we end off the episode, I would like to just discuss look back on the season a little bit and see, you know, how we're all feeling about how this is all gone, because, you know, like we haven't done this in a very long time, and some things didn't quite go the exact way we wanted to, but personally, I found this season to be... I took for granted when doing the first few seasons how well it served as a means to get to know new people in the community. And when I was, even when I've been working with Myths and Legacy, I didn't really get to know a lot of the writers before now. And I think this season has been a good way to do that.
I mean, that's the main thing I've gained from this channel, really, is just friends. It's been an excellent way to make friends. Everyone's been amazing.
They gather even.
Yeah.
As long as Levi has been a gathering of friends. As long as Levi is happy, I feel like I haven't ruined the show completely.
And also, it's just been a good way to do a full read through of the Myths and Legacy catalog in like one big sitting, because I was talking to Gonal about this a while back, and I don't think anyone's ever really done that. So it's been a good way to do like a full editorial pass of the entire catalog.
Yeah.
100%,
and as well, the experience is so much better when you read with friends and you get to discuss this in a podcast and make jokes, and you highlight the moments that were significant to you, or this was funny, this was a nice turn of phrase, this stood out to me, did it stand out to you as well? And you get to properly discuss someone's craft that they have written. It's a great way to celebrate that as a community.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Max, do you have any thoughts about all this before we wrap things up? Yeah.
Are you sure you want to hear this here?
Do you have any
Are you sure this is the right place for me?
Do you have any thoughts that won't make me feel bad?
I think that one sentence said more than 1,000 words.
Oh, no.
Well, I would say that's just about it for now. This would normally be the part where we say like what we're going to be reading next time, but we don't even know when next time will be. I think we will come back to this at some point. Things may end up being a little different, but it won't be for a little while yet because we need a break.
Yeah, I need a break. That's for sure. I haven't eaten today. I'm hungry. I've barely slept the last few days.
I had a burger.
So for those of you listening to this now, where now is relative, I suppose, with this.
Now is always correct.
What is now?
If you're watching this on YouTube, then you may have already seen the 810 episode on Bionicle Day, because this will be airing 2 weeks after Bionicle Day. I think maybe I'll have to. My brain does not work, but in the order that it will appear on the channel after everything is said and done. Stay tuned 2 weeks from now, whenever now is relative to this episode airing, for the Bionicle Day special episode where we have as many writers as we could possibly scrounge up from Myths and Legacy, all discussing things in their own dedicated episode.
It's Tuesday somewhere.
All right.
Thank you as well for having me for so many of these guest sessions. It's been a blast to be a part of this.
Well, that's what you get for writing a bunch of them.
Team Rocket is blasting off again.
Indeed.
All right. Anyone else have a goodbye message for the last 4 minutes?
I apologize.
Okay, well, you've done so already. Any new messages?
I have one final message. Significant shrinkage.
All right, it's over.
It's Jover.
We did it.
It's Grover.
Indeed.